back, baby. How we doing today? Before we go live, you guys can't even see the chat. We're going to see who the first person is that gets the award for the best chatter in the chatter world, and they get $1 billion million. $1 billion million. Monopoly money. I don't have the thing pulled up yet. I can't even see it. There's probably somebody talking right now. There's probably somebody, but it doesn't matter who was actually first. It just matters who I saw was first. That's the real secret to what we are doing, is who I saw was first. It says we're live. Okay, I think it's Isaiah Costa. I think Isaiah Costa is the winner. I think he said hello first, and he gets $7. $7 to Isaiah Costa. Is it not Isaiah Costa? You made a frowny face. You did not seem happy with your choice. Not live. Hi, I'm live. How are you guys all doing today? Bada boom, bada bing. Don't spend it all in one place. Yeah, the $1 million billion. Don't spend it all in one place. Don't spend it all in one place. Did I win the $7? You did not win the $7. I'm so sorry. That's crazy. Every time with it not live. Dude, I'll tell you, chat as a whole is out of control. It's okay. Not today. Not yet. What up, Lissa? Yeah, I'm quite curious if we'll get a good debate today. I'm hoping Zach Morris comes on. We might make some phone calls, depending on how bad the stream ends up turning out for people who want to debate. I'm moving my thing over here. I'm moving my thing over here. Boom. Boom. Am I late? I would say you're 2 minutes and 4 seconds late. Will you do delivered marine? Are you talking about like delivered boats? Hello from North Korea. Howdy ho. Are you actually from North Korea? I don't believe it. I don't think they have interwebs. Who are you going to roast today? I don't think anybody's going to want to let me roast them. Thank you for agreeing that you like my purple shirt. I appreciate that. I was worried that you wouldn't like my purple shirt. You like Tesla's direct pricing model? I think it's a better model. I don't think it's the perfect model, but I do think it's a better model. North Korea is not allowed to be on the internet. Good to know. Hi from Glasgow. What up, Glasgow, Scotland? Can I do your next call for you? No. Best thing to do in a negative equity situation, get cash. That's what I got. Get cash. I do want to make a quick announcement. I want to make a quick announcement real quick, and then I'm going to leave it. I'm actually going to turn off chat for a minute so I don't get distracted by chat while I make this announcement. Boom. Turn off chat so I don't get distracted. Boom. Okay. No chat. So this really isn't anybody for anybody live. Honestly, for anybody live, you guys are normally pretty cool. This is for anybody who watches this live after the live. Just so you guys understand my content strategy and how I've made content for 3 years now. And I've been pretty tried and true with this for 3 years, making content where I've been live streaming my work days for anywhere between 15 to 35 hours a week. 1 week we did over 60 hours on live stream. How my content goes is that I do live stream content for all my negotiations. Now with this live stream content, I have never once promised in the 3.5 years that it will only be phone calls, or that I will ever do phone calls on these streams. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I yap, sometimes I answer questions, sometimes I vent. Really, the whole idea behind these lives is for you to get a behind-the-scenes version of Tommy. You guys are seeing the real Tommy, the good, the bad, the ugly. You guys are seeing me debate people. You're seeing me deal with it. You're seeing my issues with the industry, and you're also seeing me make content. That is the entire idea behind it. I understand. I am fully aware. I'm human. I'm not perfect. This content is not right for everybody. It's why I pay a beautiful producing team, editing team to say, hey, you know what? Most people, not most people, a lot of people don't like me yapping or talking about this or what's going on in my life, blah, 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 blah. So let's get all the phone calls and make them into YouTube videos. Long form, 40 minutes. It puts all the YouTube videos. So if you're like, hey, Tommy, I hate when you yap or talk about your day or talk about things you recommend or don't recommend, the live streams probably aren't for you. It's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not disappointed. But like, just know like that I made next content. Now, there are some people that have ADHD that are like 40 minutes for a YouTube video. That's insane. I agree. I don't always watch 40-minute YouTube videos. You know what I do? I get shorts and TikToks, and shorts and TikToks like give you the high intense moments, not the full story, but the high intense moments. Are they clickbaity? Sure, of course. It's that entire idea. But if you have a 3-minute attention span, short form TikTok, Instagram Reels, all for you. You're like, hey, Tommy, I don't like to hear you yap. Honestly, I don't like you as a person. I just like you negotiating. YouTube videos are the way to go. If you're like, hey, Tommy, I'm interested in all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I'm okay to complain, but I understand this is what I'm signing up for, the live streams are good for you. That is the entire idea. That is the premise of how I built this content. I do have the option to just not do live streams and just build the content out behind the scenes. I don't like that idea, though. I enjoy these live streams. I think they're fun. I enjoy being on camera, interacting with my audience, which is one of the most important things for me, because I understand most of the people watching this, 90% of them will never actually hire us to do a deal. It's about 10% that do. Most of it just do it for the entertainment factor, which I appreciate. That being said, what I'll promise you in all of these Yap sessions is I will not be bought or sold. So if I'm ever talking about something I like or don't like, I'm going to give you my real advice. Just like it is what it is. I don't have a sponsored post. I haven't taken money from anybody. I'm big enough that I could be taking a lot of money from a lot of people. I just don't do that. So if I'm recommending something, even if you don't like it, understand that, okay, not mad. It's just what I like. But I'm also like, awesome, and not everybody's awesome, and not everybody's gonna like what I like. I'm just kidding. Realistically, I'm materialistic. I like items. So like I'm gonna tell you the things I like. That doesn't mean they're right for everybody. That means they're right for every budget. But just know that anything I ever tell you on this stream, nothing's ever bought, nothing's ever paid for. I've never taken a dime from anybody. I'm just gonna give you guys honest advice or honest opinions, and those opinions might not be valid to you, but that's okay. That's what makes us human, and that's what makes us unique. People need to just get out of their own world. Leave the comments off for a section. That's everybody. I think as humans, we grow when you're willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations you might not necessarily always agree with or like, and try to learn a new perspective. I think that's the way. I think one of the reasons, at least in the United States, is people are so herd-minded, where this is Car Salesman even, where this is one of the biggest issues with car dealerships, where they only listen to people they believe that are around them, and they don't get perspective on the outside, and it ruins a lot of things. So spread yourself out, spread your wings, grow, do things, make your own opinions, read some darn books. I got another 7 books I ordered. I don't agree with every book I read, but go read. Important. Go, if you don't like reading, listen to Audible. It's like a YouTube video without a thing. That's what I got. We're gonna keep doing a whole bunch of stuff here, but I just want to be super clear. That's my thoughts. I almost did not go live today because I was getting frustrated because I shared my opinion on some things and people got very mad on some stuff. So not for the live stream itself, but it just got me in a bad negative mood. I don't like to be in negative moods anymore. But I calmed myself down. I did my Zen. I said I'm just gonna make a little announcement, and that's it. Boom. That's what I got. I'll put my comments back on. See, I had to turn comments off because I didn't trust any of you. That's what I got. Boom. I will hire you at some time. I hate you dealing with dealerships. I love that. Thank you. Where have you been? I was gone. Any more inspiration from your AC office? I know what my AC office is. I would love to debate some people today. We've had so many people that have wanted to debate. We've had so many people that have been begging to debate. It has been nonstop. Nonstop. Okay. William has done Hawaii deals. Yes, I've done Hawaii deals. Thank you. I love you, Papa, for the $5 donation. I appreciate that. You don't want to give me money. Nobody has to give me money, guys. I have a lot of money. I will tell you guys, I got my gift. I don't think I made my announcement today because I just made this whole thing about being materialistic. I got my gift that I bought myself for my 3 years of being profitability, and by profitability making money, and I'm gonna tell you guys, it's the prettiest thing I've ever darn seen. As a physical item, it is the prettiest darn thing I've ever darn seen. Oh, I love that. Skippy just got our deal done wildly happily with Caroline and delivered. Oh, also, just turn off my comments one more time. Also, if you just haven't watched it, I'm just gonna give this one more time. How my business works is I now own my business. I do not operate on the day-to-day. Nobody goes in after going with the console and hiring delivered expects Tommy to negotiate their deal live. That is not an expectation we set to any client whatsoever, ever. And every client that has hired us has a full understanding. If Tommy negotiates a deal live, it is like a special treat that was not necessary or not happened, and it doesn't even guarantee it will get you a deal. If you look at the review we got recently when I negotiated that person's deal live, I think it was Kim was her name. The deal that I negotiated live wasn't even the deal she took for her deal. So understand, like, if I start yapping and I'm not making phone calls, and you're like, oh my gosh, somebody's paying for this. Nobody's paying for me to make the yapping phone calls. People, that's like an icing on the cake. You don't need perfect credit. You just need to be able to get approved. What am I watch on? My Quo watch. Okay. Wait, we're not going to see you do deals as much. No, we're still doing deals. But I do have to figure out a system here because I will say that we are getting recognized so often. And it's just not like, here's what's happening right now. This is what I never wanted to have happen. This is the problem that I'm running into, which is why I'm being a little bit careful with what we're doing. Is I believe that anybody can get a good deal on a car. And the reason why I started negotiating car deals was to teach people how to do that. As of the last 2-3 stream days that I've done, I've been recognized. I've done the math over 75% of the time. So now there is a small but very large portion of people that believe that they cannot get a good deal. And the only way you can get a good deal is if your name's Tommy. I still don't believe that's true. So, like, I don't want that to become the narrative. So I'm trying to, like, figure out a way so that narrative, because I like, if we look at the deals that delivered gets, and you look at the record amount of discounts we've gotten, I only hold one record in this company, and that is the most off an Aston Martin ever and the biggest discount ever. Everybody can get a good deal. You don't need Deliver to do it. It's funny, like, I'm like, I do think my business model and how crazy, I do think how crazy it is, because, like, I'm, like, actively not wanting to make content because I don't want you to make it seem like my service is a necessity. Yeah, I'll say with John Gambles, he is, like, can we just, like, ban him? I don't even like him. Like, he's not even good for content. At least Zach Morris says stupid things that I can debate with. Like, get rid of him. This guy's just annoying. He's, like, 4 years old. Getting recognized because you use the same script on every call. I'm going to blow your guys' mind. Unlike some people named Bevy Bood, or rhymes with that, I don't change my advice because it gets stale. It's been the same advice since day one. And if I started changing my pitch the way I went across a phone call, like, the whole point is that it is consistent because it works. The things I say, I have tested over and over. It's tried and true. It works. I've done it a million times. I'm not going to, like, start changing my word. I test some things out, but, like, the method I use on a reality day to day. Tommy, does your business need multiple competitors in order to create this new market? Do you need multiple competitors? Do you need multiple competitors? No. Is it better for the consumer to have multiple competitors? Yes. Dude, I will tell you, and I'm not going to use names anymore. I was supposed to go to, I just learned this yesterday, and I think it's funny that I learned this. Actually, I'm a little upset. I was supposed to go to some live debate conference, and I was invited. Like, I was invited to go do this live debate thing. And I mentioned it to somebody, like, oh, hey, I have plans on this date. I'm actually going to this conference. I was invited, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, oh, no, dude, I'm pretty sure the thing was canceled. I was like, I'm one of the guests. Like, my name is on a poster that they've been distributing out to get people to go to this conference. What are you talking about? Like, they would tell me, right? lo and behold, not only did they cancel it, but they just made a delivered knockoff and just didn't tell anybody about it. And anybody just didn't tell me. So they made like a delivered knockoff version of my service and then canceled the event without telling me. Again, I was doing it for free. So I think that's crazy. This is a person that was actively trashing my service for a long time. So it's funny. Call Khalidi Kia in Oklahoma City and try to get a new deal on a Kia K5. Nah, Nicole, that's not how we work. That's not how we work. Delivered is big enough. You're getting deals that normal people can't. That's okay. Others can still. But the problem is there's no math whatsoever to back that data up. Like, we have not yet done any proof that we're getting better deals than the average consumer actually can get. Our deals have not gotten exponentially better since we've gotten more popular. Have they become easier for us when we get recognized? 100%. I get to the bottom dollar faster than almost anybody because I get recognized. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But the net discount's still the same. You only have one side of the info, but I have 3.5 years of that info. Like, I have 3.5 years of that information to go through and say, okay, 2 years I wasn't famous and I was just doing it and I had to call 15 dealers per. How does the data look compared to now? Okay, the discount's the same. Or similar. And again, my team would also not be able to. It's not even a huge deal to recognize you, but it doesn't make the cut. Like one of the videos we did recently said, we'll give you the deal because you're Tommy, right? Like, that doesn't look good for content on a side of like people are going to believe it's Tommy. He's the only one getting deals. Yeah, but Vinny, the problem is that data doesn't even correlate to, like, our delivered team is getting better deals than I am on our on our lives. Is it a law that dealerships must collect tax on a car? If they're handling the titling paperwork, they have to, and on a new car, they are. There's like franchise. I mean, it'd be more about franchise laws that would require them as a new car to handle the titling paperwork with anybody in state. Now, out of state, it gets a little bit fishy, but there's so much fraud nowadays that question mark can happen. No, it's not a law, but it's not a law. But like, you're gonna struggle to say, I don't want you to take care of my taxes. I'll do it on my own on a new car. There's if you're paying cash and you're buying out of state, maybe. Yeah, guys, I'm not going to use the names. That's not the point. I will say, I do think it's funny that everybody's copying my business model. I do think it's funny that everybody's copying my business model. The dealership wanted my ID in order to get numbers. Is that normal? No. It lends credibility to the proof of concept, yeah. I have a debate topic for Tommy. Okay, so yeah, one thing I do want to do is do debate day. I do want to do debate day. So I haven't debated in 2 weeks. The last debate we went on was for 3 hours, and it was with one person, and then we were kind of done. There was a lot of people that wanted to jump into that debate. There was a lot of people who wanted to jump in this week. My DMs have been filled. We got Zach Morris that has said nonstop that he wants to debate. So if you're a car salesman and you disagree with anything on me, you disagree with my business model, if your name is Chevy Dude, dude, Chevy Dude made some bad videos. I don't think I want to keep reacting to his videos unless we actually make videos out of him, but I don't know if I want to give him popularity. But he gave some bad advice. I'll just give you he said you shouldn't ask for the out the door number. Because that will cost you thousands of dollars. You seen the guy with weird eyebrows that copies what you do? I don't know who has weird eyebrows. Chevy dude just quit. Oh, wait on that. Best SUV that isn't a gas guzzler. I mean, probably a hybrid. So like the RAV4 would be strong. Mazda CX-50 strong. I mean, most hybrids are going to be good for your options there. Where are all these people seeing copycats? Don't look for them. Because there's only one, the best. Yeah, I just think if you're going to copy me, at least try to make it better. Like, it just seems like people are copying my exact business model and just doing a worse version of it and charging slightly less, which is, I guess you're allowed to. But like the whole idea of business, what I like about business is that it improves. The entire experience should improve. Thoughts on Ed the car guy? Like you're talking about like Ed Bullion? Like Ed Bullion? Is Car Edge a copycat? No. Take a sad song and make it better. Are you talking about the broker out of New York? I don't know a broker out of New York. Do people even go to buy cars with the dealership you call? Like they do the deal for publicity. How many people actually go with that dealer buy? Some do. I'd say most of the time we get the deals done on the lives if they're done on the lives. I don't think he's reading Twitch chat. Yeah, I am. Can I negotiate a $1,200 doc fee? That seems high. So I also read about this. So I want to have this conversation. Can you negotiate a doc fee? The answer is in theory yes, but it's normally not worth it. And the reason being is that there's a lot of discrimination lawsuits going around, and that is one of the first things that the DMV will audit your dealership on is, are you charging the same consistent doc fee to every client? And if they can make an argument that you are being racist, sexist, anything-ist on your doc fees, or making a correlation that smarter customers negotiate, dumber ones don't. So like, there's so many different ways. They normally will err on the side of caution and will lose a deal versus changing their doc fee. But that doesn't mean you can't negotiate. Just negotiate more discount off the car. So I always say in Florida, if I say 7 to 10%, you should be at 10 to 11% in Florida. Compared to California, you're probably going to be closer to 7 to 8%. But let me just talk about some debate points. First off, I believe direct to consumer is the best possible options for dealers, the consumer model today. I believe it would make cars cheaper. I believe it would be a better overall buying experience, and it would actually make dealerships more money. I believe that it should work side by side with the dealership model. I believe that doc fees should be abolished as a whole. I believe it's just a money laundering way for dealerships to make profit. It's not actually money laundering, but it's basically a way to launder profit in order to make more money. There's no actual benefit that comes from a doc fee. I believe that finance should not be able to mark up rate. It should be illegal. They act as a fiduciary, even though they have no fiduciary duties. I believe Chevy dude gives some of the worst advice in the world, and I will debate him on any topic, anytime, any place. I will fly all the way to Puerto Rico if I have to debate him, if that's where he chose me to do it. I would jump on a plane tomorrow. What other points do I got? And we allow people to come up here and debate their opinions. I believe Delivered is a net positive, a huge net positive to consumers. We're actually fixing the problems that dealerships will not solve on their own because it's too profitable for them not to do it. I believe that 90% of dealerships, 85% of dealerships do things in a negative way and do not actually have the consumer's best interest at heart. You can make a profit from your fee, though. Yeah, I believe dealerships are not entitled to a profit. They should earn one. What else? And any of these points you want to debate. And I believe Delivered gives more value for its fee than anything else. But if you want to debate these points, you certainly can. You can't debate them in the comment section, but you're allowed to come on up. You can just DM me on Instagram. If you want to DM me on TikTok, you can certainly let me know, but it's going to be easier to do it on Instagram or Facebook. We do have Facebook. We're on live on Facebook. I'm almost never on Facebook, but I'm live on Facebook because Facebook does give us a lot of haters. So we might want to get a moderator over there to see if anybody on Facebook wants to come on. I believe Tommy is a cat person, not a dog person. I have my dog right behind me. I have another dog. Not in this room. I have no cats. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah. Also, I believe direct to consumer would make cars cheaper, more affordable. What else? What else? Dealership shouldn't make a profit, but Tommy should. I said dealerships are not entitled to a profit. Neither am I. Nobody's entitled to a profit. How many cars do you guys sell a month? We don't sell, we help purchase, but we do over 400 deals on a monthly basis. You only debate one person at a time. I ever mass debated people. I don't know how a mass debate would work, but I haven't done a mass debate, just one person at a time. Oh yeah, I believe that salespeople should not be paid on commission. It should be a salary basis. I believe commission and getting paid off gross profit is one of the things that is hurting consumer trust right now. I believe that 7% of people I know that 7% of people trust a car salesman, and that is because dealerships are doing things that's best interest for them, not for the consumer. Oh, I see the mass debater. I see what you guys did. You got me. Yes, that was good. Honestly, you spammed it so many times. I did fall for it. I fell for it. I got jabaited. Got him. You know what? You guys quack quack. Dealy the duck. What else? I believe that sales managers are one of the most useless jobs in the industry. And if you were to take one job out of the industry, I think the sales manager would be the first one I'd take out. What up, Joe? So if you want to debate any of these things, and you're like, hey, Tommy, I don't disagree. Or I disagree on Tommy's business model. I believe that I am not a scam. Big thing that people say. Boom. Got a live stream. How else are your sales going to get managed? Geez. Well, I think if your business requires managers, then you've done something wrong in the first place. I agree on commission. There's always doubt in my head if somebody's working off commission. Agreed. Who pays you? The customer, the dealership, the customer, the consumer, the client. I'm serving them because that's my job. Who's going to handle customer complaints? I guess that'd be something you might want to debate me on. But I don't think any car salesman, I believe there's a lack of education in the car industry world, which makes it so car salesmen are not really good at thinking objectively through things. I believe that one of the biggest issues we have is a culture issue in the car industry. We have raised the Wolf on Wall Street, regardless of how good of a movie it is how we should be operating businesses. And if people forget at the end of Wolf on Wall Street that everybody went to jail and lost all the money. But I'll be here all week. I do love A Wolf on Wall Street. It's one of my favorite movies. So is Boiler Room. It doesn't mean those are. Yeah, I believe women are treated differently in the car industry. I can definitely say that on both sides, as a salesperson and as a consumer. The salesman shouldn't take commission. Agreed. I don't think salesmen should make commission in the current state of the industry. If manufacturers sell direct to consumer, is there a need for dealerships? I do believe that if direct to consumer came into the business model, dealerships would actually thrive. So I think others charging more to line jump is wrong. Sure. Let me think on that one for a second. You're saying to skip the line is wrong. I don't like it. We did it for a very short amount of time, and I just didn't feel good about it, so we ended up stopping it. We did like a limited test run. We had a lot of people pay it, but it does create where you're taking a short-term profit just to, and you're increasing the fee of your thing, and if it ends up resulting to people being more upset than happy. So I'll say I don't think it's a good business practice. I don't know if it's unethical. Do you floss daily? I use a water flosser and I use floss sticks, yes. I use a water flosser every night and I use a floss stick every few days. That's kind of my mentality to it. That's what my dentist said is the best. Use the water flosser at night every day, and then every few days you want to intertwine that with a stick. I use the stick. I don't use the little string. I'm not really good with the string. Hello from Ireland. Top of the morning to you. Do we really not have anybody that wants to debate? Why is everybody so afraid to debate me? Here for the... I've always wanted people to debate me, but people don't want... I disagree with delivered being a net positive. If you're too successful, the experience will regress again. Oh, we have people signing... We have people DMing us on Instagram. Do I have a... I think we're responding to people. Michael says, I disagree with delivered being a net positive in the long run. If you're too successful, the experience will regress again. I'll debate that. Add me into this. Let's go live from the box, baby. I mean, you can DM me your phone number and I'll call you. That's kind of how that's how this goes. You have to DM me. But the whole point is you're supposed to disagree with me. So if you come up here and say, Tommy, I'm a big fan and love everything you do. I can automate your whole process. I fed your videos and lives and training into an AMI, but you cannot automate our whole process. Appreciate you saying you could, though. But if you believe you can, why don't you start your own business and do that and charge pennies on the dollar? What water flosser do you use? Who knows that? Who knows what brand of water flossers? No, I want to work with you. Yeah, I will say it's very concerning as a business owner. Now, if somebody's asking for a job, if they have they have the method to eliminate, to make my business basically outdated, but doesn't want to start their own. They just want to work like water pick. Or maybe it's just a water pick. I don't know. It just seems concerning. Like it just seems like weird. Like why not find a business partner that's good with marketing and then go to town? Right? You don't even have to be, if you are, and this is like when it comes down to business, like businesses aren't always run by one person. Start the business with somebody that has a great marketing arm that can market people and then sell your service. But I'm telling you, the amount of money and time we've invested into AI to figure it out, the AI cannot replace a lot of the pieces of the business that you have no idea exist. Today's business model is the best I've ever seen. Okay, here for the debate. Okay. I'll do my best. Okay. I'm in the Slack channel. I'm in the Slack channel. I feel like Sonicare, guys. I really don't know the brand. I know it has a little reservoir in the bottom for water. I flip up the back, put the water in with my faucet, fill it up, and then go. That's it. That's what I do. That's the extent of my water flossing. Do you have a water softener? Like, I don't think so. My water is not soft. I mean, it's like I can feel through my like. I don't know if water is soft. I think it's more like a. It's translucent. I wouldn't say it's hard. Yeah, wet. It's wet. Water is wet. Do we have somebody? Okay. Michael Billy disagrees with me. His premise, I'm going to try to get the premise before I invite these people on. His premise is that Tommy sucks. No, I'm just kidding. He says he believes that he disagrees with delivered being a net positive in the long run. Okay.
Hello, this is Mike.
Hi, Mike. It's Tommy from Delivered. How's it going?
Hey, going good.
Hey, man. Okay, I think you understand the premise is really simple. You get to disagree with me on a topic. The topic you chose, which is you believe that delivered would not be a net positive in the long run, for a reason that I would love to hear. So, if you want to defend your point, we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah, and the way I framed that point was in the long run, and if you guys are successful, I feel like you're going to change the car industry, but it will adapt around you and potentially just end up being the same thing, looped around. As an analogy, I'd say you guys are kind of like Netflix right now when they were starting off in the old days, busting on the scene, changing up how cable works, introducing streaming. It's this new thing. It's cheaper. You get less. I mean, you can get more out of it. So right now, I think you guys are a value. I think it's great. But if you keep bringing on success, if you keep doing what you do, I feel like dealerships will pivot. You'll get oversaturated, and then eventually there will be things similar to your business model kind of all around.
Why is that a negative for the consumer?
Well, if it becomes a part of the market, like I said, so Netflix was the first on, and now they were early adopters, and that was great. But now you have these other services, Paramount, all these different things.
Was Paramount a thing before?
Well, you have to understand, like in that system, it was about getting out of cable, which was just this one thing that was super expensive. The streamer platform comes along. It's convenient, it's cheap, but now it's being so spliced up where you have to have all these other packages, and the net cost is basically back to where we started. We've come full circle. And I feel like that would be a kind of a similar bucket that you guys would fall into as far as dealerships eventually creating I don't know, like a shortcut in buying cars. And maybe it's the best price around, but I don't know. It's either you guys get a stronghold on the market as delivered, controlling, getting the best deals for people, or it's either oversaturated and sorry, lost my train of thought here.
Sure. No, I mean, I can jump on that. I mean, there obviously anything can happen, but I mean, first off, we look at Netflix as a whole. Netflix as a whole was not meant to destroy cable. That actually wasn't their first enemy. Their first enemy was Blockbuster in the way we rent movies. They ended up destroying that industry, and if your logic was true, they would have just stopped there. Instead, they went to the next problem after they fixed that industry and Blockbuster went under, was what other problems can we solve? And when they figured that out, not only did they figure out the renting movie problem, they then said, oh my gosh, people are paying crazy amounts for cable. Let's fix this industry. Let's put this all on one platform. They then fix that, right? Now cable's out. So now they're on top dogs again. Then what do they do? Well, there's not enough entertainment out there for people. So let's start making new TV shows. So then they start investing their money into TV shows. And the reason why they were doing all these things is that there were competitors out there, right? There were other people trying to do what they were trying to do. So they had to keep adapting and getting there. Now, has Netflix been the top dog for a while? So they've increased their price? Yes. But you're saying that like Netflix hasn't teamed up with HBO to say, hey, I'm going to offer these shows, you're going to offer these shows, and together we're going to be this evil thing. Netflix is at the cheapest version, what, 12, 15 bucks a month? Cable, when I had DirecTV, I remember it being $200 a month if I was not out of contract or was in contract. Like, it's insane. Like, we're nowhere near where we were at the cable pricing. Now, the beautiful thing about today's market, and people might not love it, is that you get to pick and choose exactly what you want. I watch football, for example. So when I want football season to come in, I sign up for YouTube TV. I pay the $79 a month and I buy NFL Sunday Ticket. I buy that for the 6 months for NFL season. When it's done, I cancel my YouTube my NFL ticket, cancel my YouTube TV, and I just keep the YouTube Premium, and that's all I have. So now we have this adaptability that you can pick and choose what's right for you. If you want everything and all the things possible, sure, it's about the same cost, but like the worst case scenario is you're as expensive as it was before with a million more options. Because DirecTV's, let's be real, when you could do DirecTV and you could stream movies on there, was one of the worst experiences in the world. Now you can get live TV, you can get all the streaming platforms. Everything has improved, yet the worst case, it's the same price for you.
I get you there. I mean, well, and again, back to the first point of long, like big picture down the road. If you guys aren't getting oversaturated enough with other people that are going to start adapting your kind of business model, it either hurts Delivered or Delivered becomes super successful. And I just feel like from a business standpoint, you would probably be getting involved with more and more dealers that are prone to taking the deals that you guys offer, as best that's available. So that you can get them volume sales. I don't know. I just feel like
but how is that work? If we're able to get the deals faster for consumers, how is that a net negative to the consumer?
Well, it's the whole premise of kind of cornering the market. If you own a big enough portion of it, then the deals could end up being the best that there is, but then who knows if that's really the case anymore. It could be the best that's on the market, but since you're the one that's, getting involved with most of them, it may not really reflect that anymore like you would have today when you're competing with a bunch of
this is assuming that we're gonna continue, that we would go down a broker model, which that's what a broker does, right? They only work with X amount of dealers. That goes against our entire business model. You're saying that if we get big enough, we would change. It makes no sense. It would be a smarter play as we're smaller, trying to be adaptable to do the most quick and efficient way to get a deal done. We've already made it harder for us, which is a net negative net positive for the consumer. Assuming that businesses get lazy would assume that we never have competition. And the fact of the matter is there's going to be some big names that are going to see Delivered success. They already have. I can tell you that I know 4 companies that are very big names that has seen our company, that has approached us, we've denied, and now making a Delivered competitor because they've realized how good it is for consumer, how good it is. And now we're going to have to compete with a $1 billion company with a small little service. We have to keep improving. I will tell you, Delivered's 5-year game plan is only improving things for consumers, not making it worse. But sure, down the long run, if we have no competition, every business gets lazy. That's just how the market works. But I fail to believe that in the U.S. market, we would, like, it just wouldn't make sense. Like, manufacturers would jump in at that point, and if dealerships were just becoming a hole for just inventory, manufacturers would just jump in and do direct to consumer.
No, and it's all this is based on an assumption that a very, far down the road thing. So I understand what you got going right now is beneficial for people with how the current market is. So
I'd make the argument that even if we become bigger and we make car buying more efficient, make it at a very good, competitive, great price for consumers, and it's faster for everybody, I still don't see why it's a net negative for consumer, even if they can find the deal for $500 cheaper somewhere else, right? Like, that's not, like, Delivered's never been promised as the cheapest, the cheapest option out there that's going to get you the lowest price. We promise a phenomenal client experience that's going to get you a great deal on a car by giving the dealership BS. And we do fight to get you the best deal that we can find on the market that's competitive, but plenty of our clients don't pick the cheapest deal. They pick the deal that's most convenient to them. I would tell you, we do 400 plus deals a month. And I will tell you, less than 25% of them say, I want the cheapest deal no matter where it is in the country. I will go anywhere. Most of the time, it's, I want to weigh the pros and cons in deals. And most of the time, people do not take the cheapest deal that we show them. They pick the deal that there's a combination of factors there.
Yeah, it's just a suspicion. It'll be, it's a benefit now, especially, and it could be a benefit down the line. I'm just saying, if you were to grow in a way that allowed you to basically reshape what's a benefit, it could still be a benefit down the line compared to what's available, what's around, what consumers are offered. But it might not be as great of a deal right now, or as great of a deal then as it is right now, as far as competitive pricing.
Yeah, I
That was my
mean, the answer is, and this is your point. So I'm going to hold you to your point. Is that it's not it's that you disagree with delivered being a net positive in the long run. Again, when we're talking about the car buying experience, most people agree the car buying experience is the difficulty of it is why people don't like the long drawn out hours. So even in a world where we're able to build a process that makes it faster, efficient, we solve all consumers' problems, and we go from 70% of people hate buying a car to 70% enjoy buying a car. Even if even if delivered's not involved, even if dealerships do that and consumers say that's an answer, it's still a net positive for consumers.
No, you're right. You're right, because I know I'm a short term. I've only just gotten into some of your videos because I happened to glance at them in a house. Someone else had your stream on, but I know that the money is a byproduct. That kind of set that at the forefront here. But you're right. As far as the experience goes, as far as how people go about buying cars, it's a lot simpler.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man, and that's fine. I mean, like I said, I think it's a good point. It's a valid point, but I will agree that if some businesses fail, and I would actually make the argument that Blockbuster would be your better argument. Like Blockbuster was not innovating; they ended up doing that, and they sat on the market for a long time until somebody came in. That's what the beautiful thing about the U.S. is that the free market existed, Netflix came in, and you know, they ended up destroying their business market. And what will happen is if we are not solving consumers' problems, somebody else will, and we'll go out of business.
Yeah, very true. All right, wait. Appreciate the call.
Hey, no problem.
Bye.
Boom. Okay, guys, we are debating anybody that wants to debate me on any topic that they want in the world. You can pick any topic, anything in the world you want to debate me on the car market. We had one debate there. It wasn't a bad debate. I'm not mad about the debate. But just to give you some points, if you want to debate on. First off, I believe that dealerships are not entitled to a profit. Boom, that's topic number one. Second, I believe doc fees should be abolished. I believe it's just basically money laundering for profit and does not add any value to consumers. Number three, I believe that commission should be removed out of the dealership model. 7% of people trust a car salesman. It's one of the largest reasons why. I believe that finance should not be able to mark up rate. They act as if they have a fiduciary, and they don't, which is a net negative for the consumer. And marking up rate adds almost no positives to the consumer. If consumers knew their rate was being marked up, they would almost never sign the dotted line. Boom, 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 boom. I believe that delivered is a net positive for the consumer. I believe that dealerships, 85% of them, do not have the best interest at heart for the consumer, and in reality are looking what's best for profitability. Which is a net negative. I believe direct to consumer would solve almost all problems if we got rid of franchise laws tomorrow and allowed it to work alongside of the dealership model. I believe cars would be cheaper. I believe it would be more efficient to buy a car. And I believe dealerships would actually make more money in the long run because of it. And a lot of people go through this. I want to make sure. I believe dealership, because people are going to go through this, I don't believe that any business in America is entitled to a profit. Not delivered, not Tommy, not Netflix, not the US government, whatever. Nobody's entitled to a profit. They have to earn it. Just because you have cost in your... So invoice pricing, why we debate that point is invoice pricing doesn't matter. What you own the car for doesn't matter. None of that matters. You're losing money on this. None of that matters. You're not entitled to a profit. Consumers shouldn't have to pay more because you exist. And the dealership model as a whole should not exist because it doesn't add benefit to the consumers. And it's one of the reasons why I believe, again, dealerships aren't entitled to a profit. I don't believe they should be in business in their current state. And if the market was allowed to speak like market should exist, dealerships would not exist. You could never imagine someone saying they're entitled to a profit and meaning it. Dude, people say it all the time. Car salesmen all the time say, well, we own this car for $48,000 and we have bills. We have bills, so we gotta pay for. I got payroll. I got the heat. You hear the heat? It's winter, but I got the heat. Dude, I'm entitled to a profit. Anybody who wants to debate me can debate me on any topic. They just have to DM me. Ideally, you DM me on Instagram. If you want to DM me on the TikTok, you can. I'm just not as good at checking the TikToks. Yes, Cat's Creation nailed it. I don't believe marking up. I don't believe that dealerships should be able to mark up any product above MSRP. Yeah, I'll say that. What restrictions do franchise laws provide? A lot. One of the major ones is they don't allow competitors like manufacturers to actually sell cars. The only way to buy new cars through the manufacturer, but it also goes down to the service side as well. Even if you're certified from the manufacturer, only a franchise dealer can do warranty work and get paid on that warranty work, which is a huge negative, which also causes to increase cost on the service side. Boom, 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 boom. Pay-per-view, Tommy versus Chevy, dude. I might pay for that. Dude, I'd pay for that. I'm about to start saying how much money I'll donate to charity for him to debate. But don't worry, I have another thing I'm gonna throw money at. He can't ignore it forever. I disagree with how you display yourself on stream. Truthfully. Okay, never mind. This guy just says I'm handsome. Okay, Vincent, if you don't agree with my point, then you can certainly debate me. That's the whole point. The whole point is I'm making comments, and if you don't like them, you can come on up here and debate Tommy. That's how. But you have to DM me on Instagram, TikTok. There's no DMs on YouTube. I heard there was DMs on YouTube. I heard it's a lie. If Tesla and Rivian can do it, so can other manufacturers. No, they can't. So the only reason why Tesla was able to do it is because they spent billions, yes, billions with a B, fighting franchise laws in order to be able to do it, even though they never had a franchise to begin with. Still in 13 states, they can't legally sell their cars. For example, in Texas, which has the largest factory for U.S. cars in the United States. There's no bigger GM factory, no bigger GM factory, no bigger Ford factory, no bigger CDJR factory that builds more cars than the Gigafactory in Texas. But it is illegal to buy a Tesla in Texas. So what they have to do is, even though they build the car here, they have to ship the car across the border, sell you the car, and then ship it back because franchise laws have made it illegal for them to sell cars in Texas. So Tesla has figured it out because they figured out lots of loopholes, and it costs the consumer more money because they have to spend billions of dollars to get there. Rivian has followed that same path because Tesla carved it out. But we see companies like Scout. Scout is not owned or is not a or has a or we can even go through Sony. Honda owns a small portion of Sony. So when they came out here and built the Ophelia, which was actually a really cool car, I actually had a pre-order for that car because I thought it was great. Honda ended up suing and shutting it down because NADA doesn't allow Honda to sell cars direct to consumer. And because Honda owned a part of Sony, there was an argument being made they could do that. The same thing is happening with Scout. They've spent $2 billion on their mission and haven't sold a single car and being sued in multiple different states. Like, this idea that they can't figure it out, it's going to cost billions of dollars for anybody that doesn't have a franchise to begin with. Tesla made the argument that they didn't have any franchise people they were hurting, so franchise laws didn't need to exist. But a Ford dealer, we saw this in 2022, 2021 era, where Ford dealerships were charging $10, $15, $20,000 above MSRP on the Ford Lightning. Ford CEO said, this is ridiculous. I don't think this should happen. So we're just going to sell our EVs direct to consumer. Sued. They no longer sell direct to consumer. Boom. Why did Volkswagen sue Scout? No, Volkswagen didn't sue Scout. NADA sued Scout. No, Slate is different. I want to debate conspiracy theory. I'm not debating like random things. I want to debate something in the car industry. Ford got sued in multiple different directions, but one of the biggest ones was NADA. Is the background real or? Sorry, I just woke up my dog. Thanks for that. Socialism is all that is. Well, I don't know how that's socialism. Where's the scroll? In the other room. I don't need the scroll right now. But if you want to debate anything, oh, Delivered is not a broker. I'll go with that one because that one's Delivered is not a broker. I'll just add that one for funsies. I would love for you to explain why MSRP is a valid price cap for a price and not a price floor. It's a wild economic principle you seem to have. Well, good question. So as of right now, franchise laws have made it that the only way you can buy a new car is through one particular model. The manufacturer that is building that product has actually said what the net price of that product should be that builds a profit in for everybody else. Dealerships have no reason. They don't have to sell their product. They don't have to. They've chosen to go into that business model. So because there's no true competition that can go through, dealerships can manipulate the market and be able to raise that price without having competition to bring that price back down. And you're only trusting on other dealerships, which are also protected to do that. So it makes no sense. We don't see this in any other business model as well. If we look at very popular technology, the manufacturer or the people sell, or Pokemon cards would be another good example. Most of, like, if you see the Pokemon boxes, or the actual official distributors of these are not marking these up and trying to make the profit. It's going to be the people that are reselling that make the profit. So if somebody else wants to do that, but other dealerships aren't profit or aren't competition. We're talking about a lot of cities where we have monopoly, or we have an oligarchy on the top side when it comes down to the dealership model. We have more American dealership groups in the Fortune 500 list than we do of American car companies at this point. We have some cities that are owned by one family that owns every dealership, and there's not a dealership close enough to have true competition. We also have them people in this chat that also say, well, why would you buy your car from 500 miles away? That's absurd. Like, we don't have true competition. The market doesn't exist that way. And if you believe that, I'm sorry. I mean, okay, so there's a question on a job. Well, I feel like the dealership model is anti-consumer and generally bad for the world. I feel conflicted if going direct to consumer means the dealership model completely fails. I don't think it would completely fail. I believe it would be more profitable. It would give a better overall experience. It would find its niche of its ideal customer. What is your standing desk? I use Uplift. I think manufacturers should set conditions. I think that businesses and I think businesses and businesses and the government should stop trying to regulate business. I believe the free market does a great job. How much do you save customers on average? Our average savings is $6,000, but I'd say this isn't a money saving service because you can save $6,000 plus $1,000 if you do it on your own. I love that, Pahanka. I know that you've been DMing me wanting to jump on a call. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are my worst days for that. Tomorrow might be a better day for me, my friend. But if anybody wants to debate any of these points, you certainly can. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. If anybody disagrees with me, you can come on up here and disagree with me in front of everybody. That's the fun part. That's the fun part. Did you custom build your home? No. I charge $1,000. I want to get on and argue. Well, you can DM me. I'll check TikTok to see when anybody's DM me on TikTok. You have 5 requests. Let's debate. Okay. What topic? What's your number? Okay, I'm a car salesman, Michigan. Kind of shot in the dark. If you have Michigan followers, no, I'm not selling your service. I only have one person on Instagram or TikTok that's trying to DM me. I DM'd him back. I DM'd him back. Oh, nope. Doesn't look like there's any answer. Yeah, I don't want people playing devil's advocate. I want people that actually disagree with me. Like, we were really hoping Chevy Dude would come on. We really hoped that Zach Morris would come on. I don't want to play devil's advocate. I don't want a fan that watches every day that knows, like, that's not the point of this. The whole point is we want people to go through and argue. Tommy likes to argue. No, I think this is a really good moment where the dealership, every week I try to give the dealership model an opportunity to come in and defend their model because they like to talk trash about me all the time. So this is like the perfect way to do it. Does Zach Morris still not have time to talk, but he has time to comment all day? I'll say conveniently he's been gone for 2 days. He hasn't said anything in the last 2 days. I think it's a good thing that you're getting less and less people that disagree with you. Yeah, I mean, this series might go... I mean, I like the series a lot. Costco Auto is helpful. No, Costco Auto is just a lead generation tool. The whole idea is if you disagree with me, so first off, dealerships are not entitled to a profit. They have to earn one. And right now in the current business model, they do not earn one. I believe that direct to consumer would be better for consumers. That's what I got. It would make things cheaper, more affordable, faster. I believe the dealership should not be paying their salespeople a commission off gross profit. It is a net negative, and it's one of the reasons why 7% of people start as a salesman. I believe finance should not be able to mark up rate. I believe they act as if they have a fiduciary, which confuses customers, which is the exact reason why the Dodd-Frank Act was allowed to exist. I believe delivered as a net positive as a car buying experience, and we are not a broker. I'm like trying to give you everything, right? I'm giving everything I got. I believe doc fees should be abandoned. They should be abolished. They should be illegal at this point. If you're not going to get rid of franchise laws, I guess we make everything illegal that it should be, including doc fees. Doc fees should just be illegal. You make some crazier takes so I can disagree with you. I mean, I guess the doc fee one normally gets somebody. The doc fee one normally gets. You can request this by working or by DMing me on any platform at this point. I'll take any DM on any platform. And if you want to come up here, I'll call you. We'll debate. Homie, if you think Dom debate or won that debate, then he would have posted the debate on his platform. He was very adamant about posting that debate, but not even Dom thought he won that debate because he ignored everything when that video went live, knowing it was going to be live and saying that he was going to make his own version of the video. So you are very much in the minority to think that he won that debate. That's okay. You're allowed to think that. It's your opinion. It's a wrong opinion. Dealerships are plenty profitable as is. I believe the dealership owners, for the most part, if dealerships are not entitled to profit, why can't they charge? If dealers aren't entitled a profit, why can't they charge above MSRP? If dealers are not entitled to a profit, why can't they charge above MSRP? I feel like you're answering two different questions. But the general rule of thumb is there's no real competition for the dealership model. Let's debate. Okay, somebody says let's debate. What's your phone number? I need your phone number to call you, otherwise I can't debate you. You have to DM me. We got nobody else. All alone in this world. Indescribable feelings. Tell me, princess. Why are you never negotiating a trade in live negotiations? Do you handle that separately? Yes, we handle that separately. Really, when it comes down to it, it just doesn't make the best content. And it makes things more confusing and adds more questions. The whole idea is to make things simple. I have videos on how to negotiate a trade. It's really simple. But it's gonna get quotes from Carvana, CarMax, ClickLane, Algo, any other online source you can. Get a quote from your local dealership. Find the best one. Take it to the dealership you're willing to do the deal with. See if they'll match it. If they will match it, that's great. If they won't, calculate tax credit. Figure out what makes the most sense. Sell the car in that place accordingly. You're welcome. Call Ken. I'm not calling Ken. Ken's on the stream every day. I don't want somebody to debate me to debate me. Like, that's not the point of these, guys. I will make calls before I do that. I believe that I could debate every single side. The other side, like one of the reasons why I feel like I'm so good at the debate side is that I understand the dealership side better than most. So I believe that if I had to debate myself, I would make a strong argument on all of the things that I'm debating on. I think it's the whole thing about a debate. But most dealerships, then I believe that dealerships are so brainwashed into their own system that they can't even defend why their model makes sense. The audio dropped a ton. I think it's a you thing. I don't think my audio dropped. Why? Okay. Why? Like, you want to debate me, but then you won't come on the... Okay, whatever. It does not make sense for dealers to sell a car at loss. Okay, I'll add this. I believe that it does make a lot of sense for dealerships to sell cars at loss. And also, actually, I'll make another point. It doesn't matter if you don't believe, because the market will determine that. If dealers will sell a car at loss and it makes sense, they will. If it doesn't make sense, they won't. That's how the free market works. Nobody should care. Nobody should care what a dealership owns anything for. You should not use that as a negotiation tactic. Negotiating off what a dealership owns a car for is one of the worst negotiation tactics in the world. If a dealership ever comes to you and says this is the invoice pricing, tell them to kick rocks. I'll be here all week. Why are you never negotiating a trade on live? I just watched that. Go on the YouTube, fast forward, or rewind 27 seconds and you'll find it. There's plenty of reasons why, but none of those matter to you. I'm going to blow your guys' mind. 99.999% of you in this audience will never own a car dealership. You do not need to know why a dealership's willing to do it. You just need to know if they're willing to do it. Because all you care about is the net result. If a dealership's willing to lose $100,000 on a car, by all means, that's their prerogative. But you shouldn't be putting yourself in their shoes. You should just be asking the right questions. Okay, this guy said he wanted to debate me and then read my message and ran away. Do I have no? Is there really nobody on Instagram? Wow, we normally have people that want to debate. I mean, I would debate Chevy, dude. I'm a salesman. Do you want to debate? Explain why knowing invoice is not good. I mean, you want to debate me on it, you can, but I don't believe I've in 3.5 years, I don't think less than 1% of the time I've used invoice pricing to negotiate. It doesn't matter. What a dealership owns a car for does not matter. The only thing that matters is what they're willing to sell a car for. Sometimes that's higher, sometimes that's way lower than invoice. Do you fix your voice changer? We're still doing research on that. I debate you if you make calls today. I mean, we might make phone calls. Pav, if you want it, you can come on, and if you disagree with any of the things I said, you certainly can. But you have to DM me. That's the whole point. There's nothing to debate. Nobody likes dealerships. Car salesmen are punchline. Well, dealership, car salesmen like dealerships. I can't just invite you up. It's not as simple as that. I would debate Morgan Freeman if he wanted to come up. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, I'm seeing if anybody... Oh, wait. This guy is typing. I'm actually kind of concerned that this guy took this long to respond back. I really didn't want to debate you. I was going to shamelessly commend you for what you do. I've done what you do for this channel for friends and family for 20 years. I love your channel. Oh, gosh, damn. No. I'm not... No. Stop it. I don't need praise. I'm already conceited enough. I'm awesome. Have I just changed the industry? Is it just that... Have I just changed the industry? Pav, don't use your name then. I don't care. You're scared you would lose your job. Why would you lose your job? Bro is a millionaire. I saw it on CNBC Make It. Cool. What do you say when the dealership says we're the lowest price? Can't go lower. Find a dealer that'll go lower. You're welcome. That would be $5. I'm gonna give one more shout out here, and then maybe I'll figure out something else out because nobody wants to debate. Oh, we have 3 mentions. Look at my mentions. Well, that's boring. You move Chevy, dude. Okay. Let's go through the points that I will debate. If you want to debate any of these points, if you're like, hey, Tommy, I don't like what you're doing, you can debate any of these points. I will have you up here, and you can come up here and actually debate. First off, I believe dealerships are not entitled to a profit. They must earn one. I don't believe any business is entitled to a profit. Secondly, I believe that dock fees are just a way to money launder profit, and they should be abolished immediately because there is no benefit. There's no benefit to the dock fee to consumers, and they're only a way for a dealership to make profit and hide that profit. I believe that commission should be abolished today. Dealerships have lost the right to be able to charge a commission, or sorry, pay a commission. And it's one of the reasons why 7% of people trust a car salesman, which is lower than Congress. I believe Delivered is a net positive as a car buying service, not a brokerage. Boom, boom, boom. I believe that finance managers should not be allowed to mark up rate. I believe it should be illegal in the current state. They act as a fiduciary. I believe that there is no car salesman that will ever win a debate on me because they all suck. Just kidding. I believe that 85% of dealerships are out to get you and not there. That's all debate topics I have. Or does anything else I've ever said ever? So feel only you should make money. Did I ever once say that? But if you want to come up here, Shane, and debate that, you certainly can. Tommy, do you think you found a loophole in the car industry? No, I figured out how to solve people's problems. And that's not a... You can DM me on Instagram. You can DM me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, any of them. Wait. This person says they will debate 8 minutes ago, but I think that person said they were a fan. No, this other person says they want to work deals. I got a phone number and I got excited. DMing me on Instagram is the best way to do it. Wait, we got 2 people. Oh. Okay, so Jack. Okay, we'll go down in order. I have 2. I have 2 people that want to debate. We got people. I just didn't see them. But to be fair, it was 6 minutes ago. Why didn't you yell at me, Victoria? You should have yelled at me by now. So I had 2 people that want to debate. Okay, we're debating them. Okay, this person is a salesman in Canada. G'day, mate. Wants to debate their industry model versus yours. Plus, if you cut out the dealership, then what is dealership delivers model at this point? Okay, cool. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Hi, if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
Tommy, Delivered, owner, founder, awesomeness.
Thanks. Please stay on the line. I'm sorry, this person is not available.
Hey,
if you would like to...
We'll go to Sean. Sean is a Lincoln car salesman. He wants to talk about the pros and cons of the DTC model alongside dealerships.
Hello?
Hi, is this Sean?
Yes.
Hi, Sean. This is Tommy from Delivered.
How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing well. It seems like you want to talk about the pros and cons to moving to a DTC model along with dealerships.
Yes. So to preface that, everyone knows that you have said all the time, every time you go live, I follow your content, I enjoy what you do. But you want to put yourself out of business. And moving direct to consumer, you're basically going to have the manufacturers selling the cars themselves, set price. And you mentioned, obviously, having that option alongside keeping the dealership business model open as well. But how does that work when we want to service the vehicles customer? Especially I sell Lincoln, so it's very biased, but our kind of clientele, very old people, in their 60s to 80s, purchasing vehicles that, maybe they don't really fully understand. And do you think that a manufacturer is going to, give that kind of attention to those types of customers and make sure they're well, rounded with their new vehicle?
So you mentioned 2 different things, which is service and teaching somebody how to use the tech. Which side? I mean, I can go on both, but are you going more on like teaching people how to use the vehicle or the tech side?
I guess using it kind of goes hand in hand with the tech side because everyone knows how to drive a car, but the differences come in with the technology and the infotainment system and things like that. But let's say we got rid of the dealership business model completely, had direct to consumer only. How would the infrastructure work for service for those? If you're going to eliminate dealerships, you're going to have a lot less locations. And when people need to get their vehicle serviced, either, yes, they can go to an independent mechanic that may or may not be licensed for warranty work, or you're going to have long wait times because people are going to have fewer options of where to take their vehicle to fix them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first off, would we agree that dealership or just service centers as a whole are profitable?
Yes.
I think we'd agree that there would be very few owners in the world that would want to get rid of their service center. I think that they're normally the profit heavy hitter in a dealership model. Can we also agree that it's unlikely that manufacturers want to build service centers?
Agree. Want to build service centers?
Do not.
I agree that they would not want to do that. I mean, that's part of the reason why they don't even want to sell cars either.
Disagree on that. But I agree that there is no reason why any dealership would want to give up their service department. Service departments aren't the biggest issue here. It's the selling of the car that's the issue. Dealerships would be happy to get rid of allowing new car sales to exist if they got to keep their service. Manufacturers don't want to get into the service game. They want to get into the selling game. So dealerships the service centers could still exist. I mean, if you gave them the option to sell their service side of the business, people would buy it in a heartbeat. So I'm not a fan of eliminating any business with any legislation. I'm a fan of adding more competition. And my general rule of thumb is if we're able, the direct to consumer, to sell cars, they probably wouldn't open service centers. Doesn't make sense for them to, and dealerships still would, and they'd be happy to take the additional business.
Okay. And I mean, so let's say a customer comes in, a lot of people have issues with dealer add-ons. Speaking about dealers being entitled to profit, like you said, any business isn't entitled to profit, but every business has the right to earn their profit. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. And throughout the sales process with the salesperson, going up through the customer, through the hands and motions of test drives, explaining features, showing comparable models, the feature differences and things like that. Does that not have a value to most consumers?
Very, very little, because you're actually, a lot of those things you're getting a very biased view on. Like, for example, comparing comparable models. I would agree at a Lincoln dealership, or maybe you disagree, but I think 99% of car salesmen would not ever tell you that a Audi is a better option and you should just leave the dealership and not buy that. They're going to tell you what model they sell that makes the most sense for you, not actually give you real advice. You're getting very biased advice from car salesmen. Secondly, learning the technology, that has value, but little. Like, I just don't think you could pay somebody $20 an hour to teach somebody how to use a car and they would be just as effective. And going through that test drive experience, I don't think you need to have a car salesman that's paid on gross profit in order to do that.
Okay, that's very fair. Especially I sell Lincoln, so our main competition with that is Cadillac, Lexus, Chevy Suburban, things like that, brands like that. And Lincoln's kind of at the bottom of the barrel with that because I just have customers come in, we're looking at Escalades, and it's hard to compete with them. One, they're a little bit higher in price point, but a lot more features, a little bit better technology. And just today, actually, I had some customers come in that mentioned they were looking at Escalade IQs, which are around $130,000 to $150,000. And the most expensive Lincoln Navigator you can purchase is maybe $130,000. And I tell them, I'm honest about it. Like, look, these vehicles don't have, the four-wheel steer that the Cadillacs are going to have. They don't have the, 48 speaker system that Cadillac has, things like that. It's a completely different price point. But also, it's kind of a different experience. But I think if a manufacturer was able to sell direct to consumer, dealerships, in all honesty, dealerships would have more competition, like you're saying. But I don't think that it would drive prices down because the manufacturer would now become the direct to consumer prices would be the basis. And dealerships, why would they go below that direct to consumer price when they're having to do, more for the customer. What's going to happen? People are going to buy from the manufacturer and then go to their dealerships and expect, a great experience when they didn't even purchase the vehicle from them.
Yeah, I can answer that one as well. Can we agree that when a dealership when a manufacturer sells a car at invoice, they're still making a profit, the manufacturer?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what they cost to build the cars, but I'm sure it's a lot less than what they are invoiced for.
Do you think that Mazda, which is not a top 5 manufacturer right now, even though they make a great product, would do almost anything to sell as many cars as Toyota?
I think they would.
So,
but it all comes out.
Sorry. I'll let you go.
I think they would do it. Yeah, I think they would do anything to sell as many cars as Toyota could. But that would come down to, their manufacturing process. If they did, slash prices to compete, would they even be able to keep up with the demand? Like even Toyota being one of the best ones in the world right now, they have issues meeting demand. Most of their vehicles are sold before they even hit dealer lots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of different reasons for that, and one of the biggest reasons is that the price point is very similar. If I could buy a Mazda, like let's just say Mazda does want to compete, what most businesses doing when they're trying to compete with the top dog is what they do is they lower prices to an absurdity, even to the point where the manufacturer might lose money. If you don't know, the manufacturer normally makes about 8% on a car is their profit margin, is what they're making. Now, every manufacturer is different, every car is different, but it's roughly around 8%. The manufacturer would have a huge incentive like Mazda to lower that price because most people agree once you've driven a Mazda, they're top 3 in reliability. They have better creature comforts than a Toyota. And most people that drive a Mazda, their brand loyalty is actually pretty high because people enjoy them. All they have to do is get people in their model and show that they're a competitive model. So what most people have done is become a loss leader, lose a lot of money, get as many people in your products as possible. And then once the demand starts building up, then you start raising prices to get there. That's basically economy 101, but it would make a total sense for every competitor, Lincoln included. If you want to get a Cadillac or a Lincoln, now Lincoln can lower their price by another 10 grand. Now this becomes a little bit more of a difficult model to say, okay, why should I do this versus this? On top of this, manufacturers, if they're forced to sell their own product, have to become a lot more efficient in what they're actually building. As of right now, they have a guaranteed buyer on every single vehicle. So they can just build stupid shit. Sorry for my language. But look at the Prelude. Prelude is a premium example of a car that should have never made it out of there, but they knew they had guaranteed buyers. They were able to sell it, and they sold that vehicle. If they were forced to sell their own product, there would have been a really thought process of should we build this car, yes or no? And that would actually make costs go down because the consumer would have less burden because there wouldn't be all these options out there for consumers that don't actually add benefit to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got some good points. I just think that, let's say keeping dealership model, but let's say all dealerships operated on a salaried salesperson. Didn't matter what car sold for, they get paid the same. But there's still dealer add-ons. There's still, is your kind of preference. I mean, obviously a lot of customers, they don't like the dealer add-ons. They don't like the dealer fees. And also they don't like the salespeople getting paid based off how much they can sell the car for. Some dealerships are adopting no dealer fees. But I feel like those dealerships, then they're just, their sale price is what it would be if they had those dealer fees inside of it.
Sure.
But
yeah, I mean, my general philosophy is I don't think business can self-regulate itself. And when given the opportunity, if it has the opportunity, it will take advantage if it doesn't have competitors. And we saw that during COVID, right? Almost every dealership in the world, when had the opportunity, maximize profits to where dealerships, even though they had less inventory they've ever had in existence of car dealerships, ended up making more profit than they've ever been in the history of car dealerships. So less product, and they made more money because they took advantage of the situation and knew that people would pay because they felt like they had no other option. That is what we see. I don't think business can self-regulate itself. I believe you need competition to do that. The government can't regulate it. One business by itself, it literally has to be another competitive model. It has to be not profitable for you to not take advantage of people. Because the second it's profitable to take advantage of somebody and there's no repercussions to doing it, everybody will do it every time because it makes the most sense as a business owner.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and a hard point to argue because that's any business is making a profit on someone. Pharmaceuticals,
Making the profit's
you
not
know,
that, but it's taking advantage. That's different.
taking advantage of someone. I mean, that's all perspective. You know, obviously there's customers that come in and, you know, pricing is the top of their concern. And a lot of them don't understand, you know, a lot of people ask for invoice. And like you say, you know, that doesn't really matter, which is true. It doesn't matter. What matters is what the vehicle sells for. But taking advantage of a customer, you know, they're agreeing to the price. Maybe you already went back a little bit back and forth on price and they agreed. You know, most people, they shop online, then they go into a dealership or they try and do it 100% online. And the prices online nowadays, most of them are
Not
including
true.
the dealer fee and filing fee on there.
I would, I would disagree that I would say less than 50% of dealers actually have true pricing online. Sorry, I'm just I'll cut off on that point and I'll argue that all day. And I mean, I have hours and hours of calling dealerships for proof.
Yeah, I think I lost you there for a second, but I think you're talking about breakdowns online.
Yeah, I said I believe that less than 50% of dealerships, and I believe that numbers, I'm being conservative with that number, are accurate pricing online.
Gotcha. Yeah, and you know, with pricing online, you know, I'm sure people would love if the pricing online was what they would give you in the store, you know, a pricing breakdown with the fees, tax, title, license, transfer. I think part of the reason why dealerships don't advertise those prices is because every situation is different. You know, depending on where the person's going to register the vehicle, taxes could be different in that zip code.
I don't want you to go down a rabbit hole. I am saying I don't care about tax, title, license. I am saying the price that they're advertising online is not accurate plus tax, title, license. Even if you ignore tax, title, license, that price, less than 50% of dealerships are actually accurate on there. Even if they're advertising a doc fee, even if they're advertising their fee, very rarely is the actual selling price actually accurate.
Okay. Yeah, that's believable because even I go on cargurus.com and you'll see that there's prices listed and now there's a little indicator there that shows that this is with no fees shown or with fees shown. And also those dealerships, they might advertise their dealer fee and filing fee, but then when you show up, maybe they have a, you know, wheel, window tint, door edge guard fee on there for $4.95 or something like that. And I can't speak for every dealership. My dealership, we definitely have those addendums as well. But we don't pencil them. We don't show them on the first pencil. We explain to the customer, hey, you know, these vehicles, they all come with it. So it doesn't matter to me if we take them off or not. You know, but that's kind of a lesser argument. But I just think that, you know, salespeople get a bad rep, but a majority of them they get into the industry. I think a majority of them get in wanting to help people get into a new car. I don't think a lot of them get into it thinking about how much money they can make, because in reality, car salesmen only really made really good money during COVID. Even previous years before that, maybe the top 1% actually make over six figures.
I mean, this is just factually not true. I mean, I'm going to go into rants, but like, this is like, I agree that every car salesman, including bad car salesmen, made money during COVID, but good car salesmen have always made good money in the car industry. It's one of the reasons why the car industry has been a lucrative career for the last 50 years. I mean, there's no way that you can make an argument that a salesperson is making less. Most car salesmen are making less than six figures, but then a finance manager can easily make $300,000 to $500,000 without blinking an eye. Sales managers can make $200,000 to $500,000 without blinking an eye. Like, this idea that there's that much pricing discrepancy from those careers would be insane. You normally have to make the argument that you can't get people promoted out of car sales because there's so much money in car sales. It's normally a pay grade to go down into sales manager, to go down into finance, because they have to do more work with less pay.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true.
And that was, but I agree, during COVID, bad car salesmen that did no effort whatsoever made bank. Like, you did not have to be a good car salesman. You just had to be there and have a pulse, and you probably made six figures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I saw it myself in my dealership. I mean, I'm not the best either, but yeah, there's some guys that could make money during COVID, no problem. I think too that in the finance office, in the back end, marking up warranties and, the dealership's providing a service. Like you said, people can go and purchase third-party warranties. People can go and take their vehicle to independent shops if they're not worried about warranty work and things like that. It's all about paying someone to handle those things for you. And that's where, the profit comes into hand.
Is that how it's advertised?
Well, I mean, F&I products aren't really advertised online.
No,
at
but
all.
I mean, when you go to explain what the benefit of your finance office, are you saying, hey, realistically, you can go buy warranty products, you can go do elsewhere. We're going to offer you a service that's going to make it more convenient, or do you use language like, hey, we have the best finance department back there. We work with 30 plus different banks to compare rates for you to make sure we put you in the best possible position?
Obviously, yeah, we're not going to say that. And yeah, it's true that getting pre-approved is the number one thing you should do as a consumer before going into the dealership. So obviously one, but the thing is too, the rate that we get is also already marked up from the bank as well. It's not like we're getting buy rate from the bank. They're getting their buy rate, they're marking it up, selling to us, and then in turn, we're going to mark it up and sell it to the customer.
But the difference is there's nobody at the bank that is individually paid more to mark up the rate. The finance manager actually makes more money if they can convince you to pay a higher rate. There's no bank in America that actually marks up rate, and the bank originator gets paid more money to convince you to take worse terms. That's the difference.
Yeah, but they're taking that rate because we secure the financing for them and the loan for them. Versus
And if
if
that's
they
how
spent
it was
their time,
sold and there was something to disclose that, I would agree that's a totally fine product. But the problem is it's not sold as, hey, we're doing you guys a service by making this more convenient so you don't have to go to the bank yourself. You're selling it as, we work with 30 different banks. We work with the best lenders. We're going to compare and contrast options. So we find the best financing for you so you don't have to. That is a language that would be used as a fiduciary, not language that is used for somebody that's selling convenience. And if you told people you were marking up rate or marking up the product and disclose that to them, I would say less than 1% of people would actually agree to it because they don't see value. There's no value to the consumer that they'd be willing to pay 1 to 2.5% more on a rate just because you supplied it for them.
but that's what I would say is, not every consumer is the same, and I would say majority of car consumers don't really understand that. Just like your product, you offer $1,000 fee or charge for having a stress-free experience purchasing a new vehicle. The same with, we don't word it that way, but everyone knows you can go get your own loan and come into a dealership. Everyone knows that you can go purchase warranties, and I don't believe that it's a dealership's obligation to educate consumers. And that's where it gets into taking advantage of people. But you're not telling them that it's not there. You're just telling them that this is what we offer. You're not telling them that you can get it somewhere else. But I don't think that's our obligation to explain that.
I'm not even opposed to them selling convenience, but when you're flat out acting as a fiduciary, there's a reason why you can't do this in any other financial field, and why, like, for example, stockbrokers ended up having to go through and get regulated for this exact reason. You can't go and say, I work with 30 different banks, I'm going to get the best financing for you, because that implies that person is working for you and working at your best interest at heart. But in reality, they're working what's best for the profit. For example, a banker cannot say, we are going to fight in order to find the best financing for you, and then mark up the rate in order to make more money and get more money out of their pocket while tricking you to be a fiduciary. I'm okay with dealerships marking up rate if it was properly disclosed by saying, hey, this is the buy rate, this is the rate we're selling you at, you're paying that rate markup because that is the convenience you're getting from us doing there. The problem is no dealership would ever do this because no consumer would ever see value. I think you're underestimating the amount of that consumers do not understand. When you want you want consumers to trust you, but you're flat out saying that we lie to consumers and they should just know that we're lying when we say we have the best interest at heart. We have 30 different banks we're working with. We're going to get you the best rate. Consumers should just know that's a lie.
I'm not saying they should know that it's a lie, but when I guess F&I or sales managers are wording that to customers, saying that we're going to get you the best offer, they're saying that we're going to get you the best offer that we can provide. with the tools that we have.
And do they always get the best possible rate for the consumer? If they can find a lower rate, even if it's worse for the dealership, do they always do that every time?
No, they don't always do that every time.
So they're not doing they're not finding the best financing for them.
They will do their best to get the best financing, depending on, some banks offer different types of payments for those rates, right? Sometimes dealerships, we've sold some buy rates, but sometimes we just get a flat fee on the back end of it versus a split between the markup and all that. But for example, I just sold a buy rate on a used car for 5.4% through Lincoln Financial Services, and that was our buy rate from them. No markup on it. Customer was all right with that. And we just got paid a flat fee for that, $800 or something like that.
Okay.
And, obviously that's not happening a majority of the time. Majority of the time we were marking up, 1.5 to 2% on loans. But I think that, consumers really need to just do more research and come in, and maybe they won't feel, a lot of people feel already intimidated coming into a dealership because it's already common knowledge that, yeah, they are out there to get a good deal for themselves, but also, work with you. And yeah, people believe that, a lot of these cars have a lot of profit in them built in, which is, every salesman's going to say that it doesn't, and it's true, but there's really not. We discount a car $1,000, there goes all the front end. We're already at invoice knocking off $1,000, especially on a Lincoln vehicle.
What other retail product does it change that I have to get educated to get a worse deal if I walk into the same building and buy from the same product? So if I go into Best Buy and I go buy a TV, if I've done no research on what a good deal is on a TV versus somebody that's done 7 years of research, and we go buy the same LG, we're going to pay the same price, no matter what the research. What other industry, when you're buying a product, that I should have to worry about being educated because somebody's going to rip me off?
Well, you're going to have that. You're going to go and buy the TV, and then at the register, they're going to ask you if you want to buy the insurance plan on it. They're going to ask you if you want to buy
Can I negotiate the price of the warranty? Can I pay a different price for the warranty?
No, you can't do that at retail. And
so like they're just going to offer me what they have, and I say yes or no, and then that's the end of the conversation. I'm not mad that you offer products. Like, I'm not mad that you're allowed to offer a markup product. What I'm upset about is that two people can walk in on the same day and pay thousands of dollars of difference for the same product just because they weren't educated.
Well, if everyone came in and just said yes to the first pencil and every time, everyone would be paying the same price. People end up paying different prices when there's consumers that decide to negotiate, and those are not. Obviously, at a Best Buy store, you're not negotiating on anything. The price is the price. That's how it's always been. I don't know
why would any consumer pay if I know you can sell the car for $6,000 cheaper and you're going to start $6,000 higher? Why? And I just have to ask a certain amount of questions and sit in a chair long enough. Why would anybody pay more? If I know for a fact you're willing to go down to that price, why would consumers pay more? Why not just sell the car at the price you're willing to sell it to begin with and just not move? If I go to Best Buy and try to negotiate with their TV, they're going to look at me like I'm stupid. No, I'm sorry, we don't do that. That's not how this works.
I think because of the past 100 years plus of car sales, people are trained and known to negotiate. And if every dealership was showing their bottom price,
why is that?
Now people are gonna still ask for the bottom price. They're still gonna ask for a better deal.
Why is that? Why did dealerships negotiate?
That's an honest question that I don't know. I don't know why that's the thing. I wish cars were sold just like retail items were.
Okay, let's just make an argument. Do we agree that business owners want to be profitable?
Yes.
Do you not think that if it was more profitable to just price at MSRP and just list your inventory there, dealers, and that would make it easier to buy a car for consumers, that everybody wouldn't just do that? The reason why and what I'm getting at is the reason why they negotiate is because it's more profitable. It makes more sense to start your price at your ceiling. And because there's no real competition, now some people will pay the ceiling, some people will negotiate, but you're not selling it to your floor every single time. Now, most retailers have to sell at their floor every single time because that's how the economy works, because there's competition. There's 19 other different places and 17 other different ways you can buy a product. But with dealerships, they've realized the most profitable way is to start at a ceiling and try to get people in the door. And then once they do that, then they work their way down. But because you don't actually know their floor and that number isn't easily accessible, dealerships will make more money in the long run doing it. If it was more profitable to do one price and easier, they would do it in a heartbeat. It makes no sense why they wouldn't.
That is true. But let's say, a lot of cars that we sell them below MSRP, obviously. And there's a lot of customers that come in paying cash, especially at Lincoln, especially in the area that I live in. So a lot of cash buyers, a lot of retirees that just have money sitting in the bank. So I'd say currently the last 3 months, over 55% of our deals have been cash. And those customers, those are the ones that are harder to sell, back-end products in F&I because they have that set price once they close the deal with the sales rep. And they get back in there, and then, there's a $3,500 tire and wheel or service plan, whatever it may be.
Let's even get deeper into that. Why is that harder for some? But I was in finance for 6 years. Why is that harder?
Because financing and buying a tire and wheel plan maybe raises your payment $20 a month, and that doesn't sound like much. Putting the full fee up front on top of, let's say they agree to a sale price of a car for $65,000, and now they get in back in and there's this product, now the sale price of the car is $68,000. That's a lot harder to sell than just, it's only an extra $20 a month, but now your wheels that cost $1,000 a piece are protected for 3 years for only $900.
So it's easier to sell when you're not giving the consumer all the information.
No, I think it's easier to sell back-end products when the consumer is financing them versus paying
because they
cash.
don't have all the information. They don't know how much. They're not being told how much the actual warranty is. They're only being told a monthly payment.
Well, I'm not an F&I officer, but from what I understand,
I'll tell you an F&I. That's why, because it's you nailed it right in the head. It's much easier to sell a monthly payment because I don't have to focus on the actual cash price of the car or the cash product of the product. I have to only focus on the payment and get a customer to agree that it's much easier to manage an extra $20 or $30 a month than it is to manage a $3,000 repair that comes out of nowhere. That is a much easier sell, and I'm not giving all the information. Now, if every finance manager went and said, "Hey, just so you know, this is $30 a month. The retail cost of this or what you'll be adding to your contract is $3,000. Most people would be like, "Whoa, shoot, it's $3,000? I'll pass." Because they don't realize the actual net cost of that. They just think the $30 a month. It's because the consumers don't have as much information.
Why is it our obligation to tell that customer to multiply that $30 a month over the length of their loan plus their interest rate? Why can't they just
because
do that?
At the very beginning of the conversation, we started this off by saying, "Hey, this is John. He's my finance manager. John works with 30 different banks. He's going to do what's best for you and make sure you take care of it as you're buying a product." You have to remember what you're selling is a car. The idea that I go out to the checkout line and I'm now going through another sales process I didn't realize existed and I have to renegotiate is insane. If I go to Walmart, buy an item, I don't expect the checkout line to be another thing I'm negotiating. I'm buying the car. I'm not buying all these things in the back end. I'm just figuring out this is how I do the paperwork, right? So when somebody offers me a warranty, I'm just figuring that, okay, yep, this is the option. Do I want to do it? Yes or no? This idea that I have to go through another negotiation that exists, and this is just something that everybody should know and expect, and this is normal, that's just not the case.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also very easy for a customer to avoid. I've seen a lot of our customers, they're in and out of the finance office in 20 minutes. I don't know if that's because we need a better finance manager or if the customers are just very easy to say no and don't feel obligated to go through the negotiations. But sometimes people do have questions. People do want some insight on these service plans or these maintenance plans or protection plans that may be of value to them. And that's where the time consuming comes in, explaining those. And then maybe they do want them, not at the first price that we add. But, here in the state of Florida, we can't mark up back-end F&I products. We can have an unlimited dealer fee. Other states have their dealer fees regulated.
You can't mark up warranty, but you can mark up other products.
Yeah, tire wheel warranty, we can mark up things like that. But if we sold our own,
but even that statement, this is why I think people don't like the car dealership world. There's a lack of trust. You just said you can't mark up finance products. I corrected you. You're like, well, it's just the warranty. You can mark up the other things. So even that was even just your natural reaction was saying finance products. Most consumers would agree that's all finance products. Tire, wheel, gap, all of these things have to be regulated at a certain price. Now there's some that can be negotiated, some that can't. And if I didn't mention that one little thing, the entire consumer base, ones watching right now, would assume that you just can't negotiate anything in Florida.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I'll chalk that up, that's to my naiveness about how, I say things, and it's true. I got to be very particular in the way I say things to make sure it comes across clear. But yeah, I just think that, dealerships do offer a great value to consumers. Maybe that comes with the premonition that, they're going to get screwed over on pricing but just like anywhere you go, you're not going to the grocery store and buying the gallon of milk for what they bought it for. You're not going to the Best Buy and buying the TV for what they bought it for. There's a markup on everything. That's just the way the economy works.
Yeah, but I mean, you're also assuming multiple different things. So first off, you're right that you're not even right that what they bought it for. There's plenty of products that you buy below cost. What somebody owns a product for is irrelevant in business. What it has to do is, do I see value in it? Does it solve my need? And is it worth the price? Consumers don't care what they own it for. And yes, there are plenty of times where grocery stores, if something is sitting too long on the shelf and it's going to expire, they will sell that at a loss because making some money is better than no money. So this idea that even when it comes down to grocery stores, they do this. But the general rule of thumb is you have to solve consumers' problems. And you're saying that dealerships add massive value. I disagree. I think in the current state, most consumers would actually disagree with this. And my proof would be, if I had to if you had to charge upfront to do a deal with you, just to talk to you and do work with you, and for you to sell them a car, how much could you charge a consumer upfront before anything begins? So to work a deal with you, how much would somebody pay?
Well,
walk in the door and say, hey,
trust,
you want to buy a car from me? Just like delivered. How much would somebody pay to have you sell them a car and go through the experience?
Well, they'd have to trust that I'm going to get them, just like you, that I'm going to negotiate the price as best as I can. And the fact that I'm working for the dealership, that's going to show them that, one, I'm obviously going to, maybe not get them the best price, maybe not give them the bottom price that we can.
So knowing all of this, what would a consumer pay?
The consumer's paying you $1,000 to do this.
What would they pay you?
Remote.
I don't care what they pay me. Ignore me for a minute. What would they, knowing that you're going to negotiate, knowing that you might have a best interest at heart, you may not, what would a consumer pay for you up front for you to sell them a deal? They see massive value. They should be willing to pay for that massive value.
Well, I think in that situation, I mean, it's not like you go in and pay the Publix person stocking the shelves, hey, I'll pay you $50 to show me where everything is and put it in my basket and walk me to the cashier. People see salesmen the same way. They're just a person there to show you around and do things. They're not going to pay you for that. I don't have to pay the guy at Publix to show me where macaroni is. People pay me when they purchase the car. And yeah, that's where the negotiations come in hand, to where, yeah, maybe I'm not going to want to sell it for this price because I'm not going to make as much money.
But you're saying that people see massive value in you, right? If people see massive value in what you do as a dealership, they would be willing to pay to make sure you still exist. Like, yes, the reason why a grocery store makes sense is that they add a service and people are willing to pay for that service. But when it comes down to a car dealership, most people would agree that it would be easy. It would be easier to buy that product directly from the manufacturer than it would be going through a dealership. And a dealership is adding a burden and an expense to the cost. They're not adding anything to the consumer. Like if I made a world where I said, hey, let's just say hypothetically, is no longer can you go to the grocery store unless you pay a fee up front. Your options are going to the farmer and actually going to get stuff from there, or paying X amount to go into the grocery store. How much would you pay to go into the grocery store?
Well, I mean, I'd pay money to go to the grocery store because I'm not going to have to clean the vegetables myself.
Even if you don't throw a number on it, there is no question that you would pay to go into that grocery store because going to the manufacturer would be such a pain. We're at the point where you're struggling to even put a dollar amount on what value you add versus going to directly to the consumer.
Well, going directly to the consumer, you think they're going to hire people? You're going to be buying the car. It's not going to be clean. It's not going to be filled up with fuel.
Why?
Because they're not going to hire the staff and infrastructure to support that.
Why?
That's why dealerships exist in the first place. Because it's not going to make sense for them. They're going to end up paying more and more headaches and more liability.
Do you think it's going to be good for a brand to sell a dirty car without gas? When you buy your iPhone from Apple, is it dirty, scratched up, and just like thrown, not charged?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that infrastructure is going to take time to build. They're going to have to hire people to do that, train them, and also they're going to hold more liability having to carry that out.
What liability do they have? Teaching somebody to use a car and filling up a gas tank?
Well, when something happens with a sales rep at a dealership, the dealership's responsible, not the manufacturer.
But no, the manufacturer also gets heat as well. When something happens
Yeah,
in the dealership, the manufacturer is also getting the heat because, for example, it's like Kenny Sells, for example. Kenny Sells, when he made a video on saying that single mothers who was happy that somebody paid $10,000 above, that dealership got heat, but Honda got a lot of heat, or was it Audi? It was the brand itself got a lot of heat because they allowed that behavior to exist. The manufacturer eats the heat every single time as a byproduct of allowing that dealership to sell their product. So yes, the dealership's eating the heat, but so is the manufacturer. So why wouldn't the manufacturer? And the fact of the matter is we shouldn't be making decisions in a position of power of who should be able to sell cars. Why not just allow them to? And if it's not profitable and it doesn't make sense, manufacturers won't sell cars. Like if everything you're saying is true and it's unprofitable, nobody wants to do it, and it just sucks, manufacturers just won't do it. Like that's how business works. If it's not profitable, doesn't make sense, it's not adding value to your brand, you just won't spend the money on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Ghostface, you can come up here and debate. I
is
imagine you're too afraid to come up here to debate because all you do is talk
a
trash.
comparable business model to franchise car dealerships.
I mean, you can look at cell phones. Apple sells phones, but you can also buy your phone from Best Buy.
Okay. And what's the difference between Apple Care and the care that they provide at Best Buy, buying the same exact phone?
Apple Care is a better experience, in my opinion. I only go with Apple Care now because I've had bad experience with cell phone insurance. I've had bad experience with Best Buy insurance, and the top tier insurance protection is actually going to be from Apple. Now, again, that could be different, but when we're talking about the product itself, there are actually benefits of buying something from Best Buy versus buying from Apple. When I go to Best Buy, I get to see from 19 different phone options I can compare side by side right next to each other. I get to see the Apple phone, the Google phone, I get to see Samsung's phone, I get to see HTC's phone, whatever phones it is, all side by side, and I get to make an educated decision based on the entire market. That's the value Best Buy adds. It gives me all the products, and I get to make a decision. Apple gives me an extreme expert on one particular product, and their goal is going to be to sell me that product. But if I want to get that experience and go through Apple, I have that. But now I have both options. The problem that the dealership model doesn't solve is the dealership isn't giving you an unbiased opinion on the entire market of every car that they could sell and telling you which one's best for you. They are doing the same thing as what the Apple Store would, but with the added expense of that infrastructure, which is an added expense to the consumer, which is why even you as a car salesman struggled to put a dollar amount on what value you add.
Yeah, because I mean, I think value added to each consumer is different. I have deals sometimes that take 20 minutes from the second they walk in to the second they say yes. I have deals that take multiple weeks, months, and that value changes obviously based on maybe the time. It depends on how people, as a salesman, I would perceive my value. Is my value in how I inform them of the differences in models that we have? But going back to the phone comparison to the dealership franchise. If every dealership could sell any brand new car, do you think that would create more transparency with pricing and competitiveness?
So let me ask you, if you had the option right now to make
Best Buy, they can sell any phone they want. They can sell Motorola. They can sell iPhone. Every dealer franchise can only sell one specific brand that they bought into.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. If you had the option to sell Cadillac Escalades and Lincoln Navigators right now, everything you knew about the Cadillac, you said it was better, and you could sell both, would you be honest about which one was the best if it paid you the same?
If they paid me the same, whether I sold Navigator or Cadillac, would I be honest
you
about what?
You could sell both.
Well, yeah, I would be honest.
There you go. That's your answer. There's no benefit. If there's no benefit, why wouldn't I be honest? I want people to be happy. And I'll give you an example. I went to Best Buy the other day. I bought a frame TV for my house. Didn't even realize there was a sign right in front of me that said I get a free sound bar with it. It made more sense for the business to just keep that profit, call it a day, and save the $150. But the guy made an active thing that, hey, if I have my Best Buy account and pull it up right now, I will get a free sound bar with this purchase. I was at the checkout line with my credit card in my hand. He was like, whoa, no, do this real quick. You'll get the sound bar. He added benefit to me, even though it did not benefit, it actually lost the benefit. But now I remember that. I've told that story like 9 different times, and they trust that them being honest is a better business practice than it actually is trying to make the most amount of profit, because giving that story is going to be better because actually just our employees as a whole are just going to do what's best for the consumer because that's how they're trained to work.
Yeah, 100%, because that person's not getting paid. I mean, you sold cell phones before. Mm-hmm. Don't you get paid on, the gross? I mean, I've never worked retail cell phone sales, but I'm assuming the more phones you sell, and the more insurance products you sell on those cell phones, you're going to get a bigger paycheck at the end of the month.
Yeah. So, and again, how sales are today versus how they were before. And I'm not even saying the cell phone model is efficient, because at Apple, that's not how it works. At Apple, it's a salary, right? You're not getting paid more for everything you sell. But general rule of thumb is I'm not changing the price of the product. So what I'm doing is I'm selling a phone for $1,000, and if you buy that phone, then I get paid the same amount if you paid $1,000, because it's the only price to pay. So I'm not incentivized to convince you to spend more money on the same product. Am I getting paid more if I convince you to buy the case, to buy the protection? Yes, absolutely. But the product prices never change. And I'm okay if a dealership did a world where everybody paid the same price and everything, and they ended up paying more if you got somebody to buy all of these products. I'm not even opposed to that model, but the idea behind it is those prices can change. So not only are you paying them if they buy the product, but you're also paying them depending on how much they paid on the product. And I think that's where we get into an unethical level. If I was selling Apple Care and I could buy it for $199, but if I could convince somebody to spend $500 because they thought it's worth it, that becomes unethical.
Mm-hmm. So I guess dealerships offer value. It's just the fact that the way the employees are paid at the dealerships is what makes them predatory.
I believe dealerships can offer value, but I think in their current state, they add more burden to the consumer than anything else. I believe there's very few dealers that are actually adding true value compared to a direct-to-consumer model. I believe if you gave the option today that you could pay less money and not deal with a dealership, almost every single person in America would pick that option. I believe it would be 95% of people. I said, hey, you can pay less money with the manufacturer, not deal with it, buy the car completely online. I think the vast majority of people would actually pick direct to consumer. And I believe if you're adding value to somebody, that should be like, and I'll use another example. If every consumer knew my service existed, and they knew $1,000 and they know they can do it for free without doing it, I believe the vast majority of people would use the service, because the dealership ends up not solving so many problems and ends up so much headache that the $1,000 is worth it to them. Consumers know they have an option for me. I've given them the option, and I've taught them myself how to buy a car without me. They still choose to use me in droves because we add value.
Okay. And another part about direct-to-consumer, I think, can we agree that I believe majority of new car sales involve a trade-in in the deal? Or do you think that less than half?
Sure, but there's a million different ways to solve that.
I mean, how would you,
Right.
direct-to-consumer,
Does your dealership
you buy a
want
new
inventory?
car, are they going to want to handle your used car?
Super easy. Does your dealership want inventory right now? If I could get you, if I had a guaranteed way, hey, I'm going to give you, I think you're a salesperson, but you're a sales manager. If I went to your sales manager and said, hey, I can get you a guaranteed way to pay trade-in value on every single trade that I get in, and I'll make no money on it. Do you think dealerships would be like, oh, I can get more inventory for my used car lot and pay trade-in prices for it? They wouldn't just say yes to that?
Yeah, but it's going to be the same thing with the consumer that's trading it into that direct-to-consumer location. What if they're not happy with the price that the manufacturer spits out for their trade-in?
They don't sell the car.
Exactly. Us, we will sell the car. We'll work with you.
No, but because they're offering a fair, like, for example, Carvana CarMax offers a fair price up front. They don't have to negotiate because the price is fair. The second you said, well, we'll work with you, it means that the price you offered wasn't actually a fair price to begin with.
If
you had more to give that made sense, you would have offered that amount to begin with.
Yeah, but people are going to, we take people in that come in and they have Carvana offers already, they have CarMax offers already, and they still trade in with us because they get the tax sales benefit, obviously, of maybe a couple $100, sometimes $1,000, depending on the sale price. But just because, what if that was an option, why would direct-to-consumer manufacturers selling vehicles start giving their best price? Because it's still going to cost them money to facilitate that transfer to a used car dealer lot to get that vehicle there on the like transportation. They're going to have to, make sure the car is inspected before it's even sold to another dealership for a used car lot.
So again, there's a million different ways to do this, and again, I believe smart people in a smart room will find profitable ways to do it. If I was in charge of it, my gut reaction is I would go to every dealership that is a Lincoln dealership and say, hey, you're still going to be able to do service on my products. I'm allowing that, but I'm going to have a trade-in system for you. It's going to be really simple. I am going to go through and make a relationship with Carvana CarMax, and I'm going to make a relationship with you guys, and I'm going to buy cars when I sell cars, and I'm going to give you the option to buy that at the exact price I pay. I'll make no money on the trade, and you can buy it at exactly that due. And if you won't, then I'll give it to Carvana CarMax and they'll do it. If I give that option to all three people to buy as the manufacturer, to say, I will give you inventory and you can buy it at this price, yes or no, you can say yes or no every single time. Most dealerships would welcomely encourage getting more used car inventory than less. If not, I have a guaranteed relationship with Carvana CarMax that would be willing to do it. And that would be how the situation would go. The manufacturer wouldn't actually be a used car dealership. They would take in the car, very similar to what Tesla is doing right now. Tesla takes in trades. Rivian takes in trades. And sure, they sell some as their used cars, but they are able to just auction these cars off relatively simply and pass through so they don't have to deal with it. I mean, it's not like a crazy concept that people haven't solved before. But my first approach would be going to the manufacturer or going to dealerships and saying, hey, I have guaranteed inventory that I'm going to be getting. That's all going to be vehicles you probably want in your local market. I can sell it to Carvana CarMax, or I can sell it to you guys. Do you want an option on this? Every single used car manager in the world would be like, I want to see every single car you're selling, and I want the option to buy it before anybody else. I'm telling you, I've dealt with used car managers. That's what every used car manager would say in America. I want to see that inventory before anybody else. I want to be the first person, and I'll be the one to say I don't want to buy it, and then you can sell it to somebody else.
I believe that too. I believe that. Everyone wants inventory. What I'm saying is that a direct-to-consumer dealership, or whatever it would be called at that point, why is the customer going to say yes to their price but not a dealership's trade-in value price? Because
you just said it perfectly well, that you're not going to offer them the best price up front. People don't negotiate the trade at Carvana CarMax. They get the trade-in number, and then they take it to you guys to see if you guys will match it, and you guys will almost never get to that number. You might get there with trade-in credits, but Carvana CarMax offers a number up front. They're not, when you try to negotiate, they just say, no, we offered you the best price up front. We don't negotiate. It is what it is. Like, that's how it will be as a system. It'll be, this is the number, take it or leave it. And if you want, and I will tell you, I've been doing this a long time, I rarely see a dealership up front without less than 5% of the time will offer more than Carvana CarMax will. Like, it just doesn't happen where a dealership up front will offer more than Carvana CarMax will. I almost always have to use Carvana CarMax's offers as leverage when I negotiate. So Carvana CarMax is always giving me the best number up front, and now I have to use that with a dealership that's always going to try to lowball it.
I believe that. But when CarMax or Carvana goes to resell that car, they have some of the highest prices. Because
correct, and people are still willing to pay them because it's a convenient experience. And Carvana CarMax charges an arm and a leg of markup on that car as well. Again, we've already agreed that dealerships would be willing to buy the inventory. So if dealerships are willing to buy the inventory, they have a guaranteed seller for it. If not, they'd auction it off. And even if they're losing money on every single trade, it ends up still being worth it for them because they're getting more consumers in their product. And when you're getting more consumers in their product, they're going to have a long-term value to that consumer. Now you have to start thinking of what the actual lifetime value of a consumer is, because you're getting that lifetime value. You're no longer giving that to a dealership. The manufacturer does. So Mazda gets to think, if I want to take market share from Toyota, I need to get as many people into my product. So I'm willing to lose money for the next 5 years, knowing for the next 25 years, I'm going to have that lifetime value be exponentially more expensive or more valuable, because people will start buying my product and they'll pay a higher price because they know my product's worth it. That's
how does Carvana and CarMax offer long-term value? I can't go back to a Carvana when my car's having an issue. I have to find an independent retailer to fix my car.
You can go back to Carvana. Carvana services cars. Or sorry, CarMax does. CarMax does. Carvana has a return policy there. And I'm not saying Carvana, CarMax's models are perfect, right? I'm just using them as an example. But I think if you're going to compare a model, I think this is one of the, like, an Achilles heel people does. They try to compare Carvana, CarMax, and I'm talking about it for trade. But if we're talking about for selling cars, I think it's unfair to compare Carvana, CarMax, because we have a better comparison to go through, which is Tesla. And Tesla, if your car breaks and has issues, they fix it. Like, right? Like, this isn't like we have a direct to consumer brand that we can look at and say, how do people enjoy the Tesla experience? How do people enjoy the Rivian experience? How do people, and Tesla had to spend billions of dollars to be able to sell their car. And that's one of the reasons why their prices are as high as they are, because they have billions of dollars of legal fees they're still making up for it to make sense. But like Tesla doesn't just say, oh, you bought a car and I have a nice life, bye. No, they take care of you.
Yeah, but it's still the same. They still have service advisors, service writers, technicians. It's the same system. That it's marked up labor, it's marked up parts. It's the same thing as a dealership.
No, you're not negotiating with Tesla when it comes down to service.
Yeah, you don't negotiate service prices either at any most
Yeah, so it's the
dealerships.
same. Yeah, well, nobody's mad they're making money on the service. Nobody's mad the dealers to make money. What they're mad about is that two people can go into the same. It'd be different if you were negotiating prices on service, right? If you were negotiating prices, people would get mad. People would be upset. But people are mad that two people can walk into the same building and pay two different prices for the same product.
That happens with home sales too. You know, it happens in every industry.
It does not happen in every industry. It happens in very few industries.
I think it happens majority of industries.
Okay, well, does it happen?
Look
Does it happen in the grocery
real
store?
estate sales. I mean, look at the top biggest industries. No, not everyone pays the same price in the top biggest industries.
No, let's go through the real. Let's go through it. So real estate, two different people can pay two different prices on a product 1,000%, because a home and land is going to be sold by a private party to another private party. And that idea of being able to actually go through, and two people aren't buying that same product. That's the problem is two people aren't buying the home. Two people are bidding against themselves on the same home. So when it comes down to real estate, 1,000% agree the two people, but it's what the perceived value is of somebody else's land and somebody else's home. So, and there's no two homes and no two pieces of land that are identical. Even if you're buying a manufactured house, being on the corner lot versus being in three houses in the middle. When I was looking at homes, there was a neighborhood that had houses that were so scrunched together. When I got in a house, I felt claustrophobic. And there was a house that was $200,000 more expensive on the corner. It was actually less its size, but the lot size made it more valuable because it didn't feel so enclosed. Same builder, same house, relatively same, but $200,000 more expensive to be on the corner. But the idea behind it is I'm getting two completely different things for that. And if I see value and I go from there. But if I go to the grocery store and we both go buy cucumbers today, we're both going to pay the same price on those cucumbers. That price is not going to change on the cucumbers because I ask a few questions. If I go to buy a TV at Best Buy, we're not going to run into this. If we're going to go buy furniture at West Elm, unless you're buying used furniture, that pricing is going to stay relatively the same. Like I said, and even in the models that aren't perfect, if we talk, I wouldn't agree that's the way to go. I believe those are also running into the same issues. Like I don't believe just because one business does it or two or three businesses do it, that makes it right. But if I go to a restaurant, we're both paying the same price for the same thing of food. This is not like this massive industry of everybody paying different prices for the same product. But I mean, if you want to name some industries that go through and you can pay vastly different prices for the same product, even if we go into like jewelry, right? No two diamonds are exactly the same. So now we're getting into manufactured diamonds. With manufactured diamonds, the retail has gone down, and that spread is much thinner. When you look at natural diamonds, there is much more of a spread, and the idea behind it is that every diamond is different, and natural. That's a whole different thing. But even when it comes down to two different diamonds, they're not identical diamonds. When it comes down to two different cars, as long as they're new, they're the same car. They have a different VIN number, but they're made the same. They're the same product. You're not getting a better quality car because you built one on a Friday versus a Tuesday, no matter whatever anybody tells you. But like, there's no other industry this runs into, or very few industries that this runs into.
That's true. And, it's hard, you're having the same product under the same dealership. That's an example. Like, you can get the same cucumbers at different stores with different prices, but you're arguing, you have a brand new vehicle, two of them at the same dealership, two different people walk in. Yeah, they could get completely different pricing on it based on how they negotiate. If two customers came in and didn't want to negotiate, they'd both be paying MSRP for the vehicle. They would both be paying the same price if neither of them negotiated.
But again, so now I know that if I ask the certain amount of questions, I get to save thousands of dollars off. That is charging somebody more money based on their education level.
Yeah, and
the idea is that two uneducated consumers. Yeah, but the idea you're saying that two uneducated customers are both getting screwed is not a good argument to the dealership model. If you're educated, then you save thousands of dollars. That's insane.
Yeah, but I don't think it's insane because the level of, intelligence or education that it takes to be able to negotiate a deal doesn't take a high schooler can do it. It's you preach it on your platforms and your social media all the time. You tell people literally how to get the best deals the same way
But it takes
you do.
education. There's still education involved, regardless if it doesn't. You don't have to be a Harvard grad to do it. No, but it still takes education.
I guess I think it's just hard to argue it because dealerships over the last 100+ years just have built a culture where that's what's needed to be done is to step down the ladder to get a sale versus any other market, any other product that you're purchasing. The price is what you pay. There's brands out there
they're selling
that sell
it.
the same exact
I want to be
product.
super clear. The reason why that happens is that every other business is selling at the floor that it makes sense. Dealerships sell at the ceiling. That's the difference there, is that dealerships are willing to sell at the ceiling and negotiate down. Everybody else sells at the floor on what it makes sense to sell that product and still remain profitable. And selling it lower no longer makes business sense. That is the reason why this happens. This is not because dealerships are the victim. Dealerships created this business model because they have no real competition. Nobody can compete with their model because of franchise laws. So they're allowed to make the most profitable model. If it was not profitable to do it, they would not do it.
I mean, I think that's true to a point, but there's plenty of companies that they come in a low price. I mean, just example, like you explained, there's Netflix. It was $8, $7 a month when it first came out. Then they accrued more members, and they raised their prices almost every year or 2 years now.
Does everybody pay the same price for Netflix? Did everybody's price raise?
Everyone's price is raising. Yeah, that's
so it didn't
correct.
matter how educated I was, how much I knew about Netflix. Everybody's price increased.
Everyone's price increase. That's what I'm saying is that you don't have to know anything either to come in and buy a car. You can just pay MSRP and you'll pay the same price as anyone else.
But if I know everything about Netflix, I'm not saving money. What do you like? This comparison makes no sense. Like if I know everything about Netflix and know everything about their costs, I'm not saving money. Like the idea about Netflix raising their pricing is because they offered more value. Like that's the idea. They started making their own TV shows. They started becoming a production company. They started investing in all of these things. Because they invested in all these things, they ended up justifying raising their price. But it was very easy to go through and say there's 19 other streaming options that I can go through if I don't like Netflix. Or I can just go and buy the movies myself if I want to go that route as well. But this idea that like nobody's paying a different price for Netflix. Everybody's paying the same price.
Yeah, that wasn't really a good comparison on my part. But what I'm saying is customers can pay the same price at a dealership. Maybe not the same price at another dealership, but within that same dealership, customers can pay the same price for the same car that the last person bought it for.
If they're willing to pay an inflated price by the dealership, they can pay the same price. I agree if they're willing to not.
MSRP is not an inflated price. MSRP
but it is an inflated price. If you're okay, I'll ask you this question. If I could buy your Cadillac, or sorry, your Lincoln Navigator for $100,000 or $110,000, which price do you pay? Same car, $100,000 or $110,000. Same car, same option, same everything.
Well, there wouldn't be that discrepancy.
No, right, again, if you had the option, and I just said, hey, if you have the option, you can pay $100,000 or $110,000 for this car. Which one would you pay?
Well, you could say the same thing for products where people find the right. That's like saying, okay, here's this iPhone. We found that with our R&D process and our manufacturing costs and our labor costs and what people are willing to pay for our phone, $1,000 is the sweet spot.
Sure. Well, you have phones. If you could buy an iPhone for $900 or $1,000, which one? Again, we'll use iPhones. If I could sell you an iPhone for $900 or $1,000, you walk into the same store and pay $900 or $1,000. Which price would you pay?
Everyone's going to pick the lower price.
Correct. Because the price of a product is set by the lowest price you're willing to set it, not the highest price. That is how a market is set. Nobody in their right mind would ever pay more money, especially if all they have to do is learn a skill and ask a few questions and pin dealers against each other. They could save $10,000 on something. By all means, every consumer is going to do that unless they're not educated and don't know better.
That's true, but MSRP is that suggested retail price. Obviously, everyone knows that, but that price is set by the manufacturer of what you should sell the vehicle for. No dealers sell for over MSRP unless it's clearly indicated with a
Plenty of dealers
markup
sell
on
above
the
MSRP.
specialty run. All our cars are listed at MSRP online.
Great, but
Plus
that doesn't
the
mean that
dealer fee.
again, I've said 50% of dealerships are, again, plenty of dealerships sell above MSRP. I have plenty of videos just showing that, just me calling dealerships, plenty of cars. And if the opportunity gives itself, like you don't have an Escalade V, so I can't give you an Escalade V. The amount of Escalade Vs that dealerships advertise at MSRP and then they go above MSRP is insane. But this idea that MSRP is even the right price, like manufacturers, companies don't set the price of their product. The market does, and the market should be dictating this price. MSRP is just a magical number that the manufacturer believes their product is worth. But Samsung every year makes a new TV and believes it's worth $10,000. In about 3 months, they realize nobody's buying it, so they have to lower their price, and that's the actual price of the market. The price is not set by the manufacturer, and this isn't just, and this is why dealerships aren't entitled to a profit. If nobody's buying your product, then by no means that's not what it's worth.
Then why is it, when everyone is buying the product, why is it bad to charge more for it?
Because there's a few different reasons, but the major reason right now is that I have no other alternative to buy the product. So the market can be artificially inflated in order to do that. We look at LA when it comes down to the Type R market. If you go to LA, every dealership, or 90% of dealerships, are going to advertise, just you can go look after this call. Almost every dealership will advertise the Type R at MSRP. Almost every dealership has anywhere between $5,000 to $25,000 of markup on there. Every dealership will have 2 or 3 of them sitting on their lot waiting to sell. That dealership market has agreed to sell this car at above MSRP no matter of market demand. And if the manufacturer was able to sell Type Rs, this would not exist. But all dealerships in that area have agreed to sell it at this price. And the market's not actually speaking because it's more profitable to do that. That's what people do. But yes, there's market manipulation that currently exists in the dealership model. But when it comes down to a market or a market raise, as of right now, I have no other option to buy that new car. I have to go through the dealership model. I'm fine if dealerships can charge $500,000 a market if they want, if I have the option to buy it through something else. If I have the option to buy this product through the manufacturer, you can sell every markup every day of the week. If you believe that the Type R or your Navigator fully loaded is worth $20,000 a markup, by all means, preach. Sell it and advertise it on your website. And I'm fine with that. Okay. But the problem is most people aren't advertising it on their website. That's one of the biggest problems that we're running into. And that's one of the biggest concerns we have. We can't even see what a market value is on a car because 50% of dealerships aren't actually advertising the actual price they're willing to sell the car at.
Yeah, I wish there was, that's one thing that I like that you're doing. You're keeping track of what you're actually purchasing these vehicles for, because dealerships aren't publishing what their listing price is versus what their actual sale price is.
Right.
And that data is very important. But let's say we lived in a world where dealerships didn't exist and it was completely the direct-to-consumer platform. Mm-hmm. Don't you think that manufacturers would do the same thing? They would change their prices if they saw their vehicle was selling so well and they couldn't keep up with demand. They would raise prices.
Yeah, the market would set the price. Correct. The market would set the price.
Like,
but that's the
like
market
those
setting
dealerships
the
that
price.
are marketing. That's why Type R on the West Coast costs maybe another $5,000 a markup over a Type R here on the East Coast because their market is dictating that.
No, the market's not. Again, if I have 3 Type Rs on every single dealership lot, the market's not dictating that anymore.
You have 3 Type Rs on the same dealership lot.
If I have 3 of a car on every single lot and there's 48 dealerships in LA, the market's not dictating that anymore. The market's not saying the cars because nobody's paying it. There's inventory up the wazoo.
Yeah,
there's 48 dealerships, 3 of every car in the color you want. That ends up being 150 options on a limited production car. That is more than enough inventory that there doesn't need to be a $5,000 to $25,000 markup. If a $5,000 to $25,000 markup is valid, then there would be no inventory because people would be paying them.
Yeah, but the price, what I'm saying is the price will still fluctuate even in the direct to consumer.
Correct. I'm not mad that the price fluctuates if the market dictates it. Yes, if everybody's buying a product, then by all means, that price would dictate. And if nobody is buying the product, the price goes down.
And just like dealerships kind of throw out a high price out there, see if anyone bites. That'd be the same thing manufacturers would be doing. There's no way for them to test.
The difference is if we both buy that product from Honda on the same day, we're paying the same price.
That's true.
And it would be very
But-
easy for me to make a spreadsheet like Tesla has, because you can go to Tesla right now. I can tell you for the last 7 years what Tesla has sold their Model 3 for. I can tell you every month it's gone up, every month it's gone down, because it's so easy to track. So it's very easy to see this is a good time to buy the Model 3 because the price is currently up versus the price going down. I can see that. I can't see that with the current manufacturer model or with the current dealership model.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I mean, yeah, I don't think I have anything else other to discuss or debate.
Game Warden, you can come up here and
I had a
debate
great
if you
time.
believe that, and by all means, if
Talking to
you
you
want to have
and
that
learning
conversation,
some
let's have the
stuff.
conversation.
Maybe showing some of my insight on it.
Yeah, no, I
but-
appreciate you coming up here. I know it's brave. You talked for an hour, man. It's not easy, but yeah, I mean, generally when it comes down to it, like I said, I believe dealerships can add value, but they need real competition to add value. Otherwise, they have no reason to. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. So you think that other dealerships aren't enough competition for dealership as a whole?
No, I mean, why? If everybody has the shitty car, if they're, and I'll give you an example. Blockbuster was competing against other blockbusters. Nobody decided to go through and change the way movies were made. If you went to Henry Ford in the 1920s and asked consumers what the best way, what they wanted for consumers, they would say, we want a faster horse, right? They wouldn't have said a faster car. It's innovation from competition that allows for the market to exceed itself. And it's people trying to find better ways to do that to solve consumers better. But if you have the same person solving like Blockbuster, everybody being Blockbuster, nobody has innovation to improve. There's no reason to improve because that's the only option you have and we're the best option. So the reason why things get better is that small dogs want to knock off the big dogs like Netflix. So he said, how do we do things better than Blockbuster? How do we solve consumers' problems in a better way that's cheaper and more affordable and consumers believe we're solving their problems? And when they do that, and that also goes with Ford when they made the car, right? Horse and buggy sucks. We need to make a better, more efficient model. Let's build a car. Nobody was asking for it, but it solved consumers' problems. That's why the entrepreneurs of the world can be so lucrative, because they're solving problems in ways that people had never saw or never seen, and they're solving it in a better, more efficient way. Consumers see that and they're willing to pay.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that, but yeah, I gotta get off. But I appreciate you taking the time to call me. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys. So anybody can come up here and debate. Like, for example, I'm going to give it a moment here. Ghostface has been talking. He's in my comment section every day. He's like Zach Morris, but a different Zach Morris. Like, I will give him the opportunity right now to skip the line. Tommy regurgitates because they blindly bend over. Anonymous Game Warden will be another person. He's talking a lot of crap. If he wants to come in here and debate live, I will allow both of those people to skip the gate line. Also, Chevy Dude and Zach Morris could also skip the line before I jump in. So I'm going to give them all an opportunity. They're all talking a lot of trash in the comment section. Apparently, you guys are all just you guys are just gurgling me. I don't want to say the words, but that's what he said. So if they want to prove me wrong in front of my entire audience, you can't. What I love here is this is the moment when they get really quiet. When I'm on the phone and I can't justify it, they're like, this guy's a scam. You guys are idiots. And then the second I allow them to come up here to say why I'm a scam, they get really quiet. We'll give them a minute. Debate you on. They were all, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not both in YouTube and TikTok. Were these people not talking incessantly until the moment I got off that phone call? And the second I got off that phone call, they both disappeared. Negotiate a raise. If we don't have Instagram, how do we call in? DM me on any platform. Instagram, TikTok, email me. Go on my Discord. Find a way to get me your phone number. I'm going to call Zach Morris here. Wait, is it Zach Morris? No, Jack Moore. Is it Jack Moore or Zach Morris? This is Jack. Okay. Okay. I'm going to give you the opportunity to give you the number, and You can DM me. You can use email. You can Google the delivered phone number and text. Moderator, can somebody give him my email? I know somebody can give him my email. Or Victoria, can you give him your email and give him your email? Victoria is my assistant. She's going to get you your email. I'm going to call over Jack and see what point he wants to make. This is Jack Moore. This is not Morris. We're going to, and then Anonymous can jump in after him. Watch, they're both going to start talking.
Hello, hello.
Hi, is this Jack?
This is.
Hi, Jack. It's Tom. You wanted to debate. I think your debate point, so I have it here, is wants to debate their industry model versus yours. If you cut out the dealership, then what is the delivered model at this point? I'll let you extrapolate on your point, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I guess like little background for me. So I'm based out of Ontario. I was in the industry for about a year and a half. I'm at the same store again now, but back then there was definitely a lot of gross profit in the vehicles. Different type of pricing model, which I was definitely not a fan of. So I've also been a fan of you. Left there to be in the medical device field. So I was kind of doing that for a little bit, and then just returned to this store because it's more of a volume-based store now. So I love your model as well too. If you called me up any day, I would absolutely love to just do a deal for you. Easy as that. I love the one price. Just my main thing is re-entering this industry and just kind of defining what's going on there with, I guess, the direct-to-consumer purchasing and everyone wanting to go right from the manufacturer. Totally understand that. And again, like the previous gentleman too, kind of trying to represent or describe the value that a dealership has. I'm not too sure that, like, I agree with you on that point, that a salesperson probably doesn't deserve a bit of the gross profit in a vehicle, and it should just be a volume-based type of system, which is why I kind of re-entered, because I believe you said a stat about how many salespeople thrive on kind of the volume base. But I love that stat. So I was basically just kind of trying to discuss with you about if your goal was achieved, you kind of took out all of the dealers, not taking out all the dealers, but making it a one price. Like kind of like what would delivered be? Like what would the service that you'd be providing there, and what kind of profit would you be playing with? Like the MSRP.
Yeah, I mean, super. My goal is to put myself out of business. So one of the ways I do that is I believe manufacturers. Yeah. If manufacturers are able to sell cars, I believe they serve. They're able to put competition, and if they're able to sell cars and deliver competition, I don't believe delivery would be much needed, and delivery would go out of business, and I'm fine with that.
So going like directly to the manufacturer then. So like let's just live in that perfect world, I guess. So consumer direct to the manufacturer, you would be out of business at that point?
If you allow dealerships and direct to consumer. The reason why people hire me is to skip the dealership process and be able to buy a price and make it quick and easy to buy a car. Manufacturers can do that cheaper than I can. They can do it more efficiently than I can, and they can do it in 10 clicks. It's a much better system. It would make no sense for. I mean, delivered would offer very little value to the consumer at that point because the dealership or the manufacturer could do everything we can in a more efficient way. If delivered still has a need, I think that the manufacturer hasn't solved the problem, and then we would still be here. But I believe if you allow franchise laws to abolish franchise laws, it puts us in a world where manufacturers would solve the problem that we're trying to solve.
Gotcha. Yeah, and like again, I'm just kind of trying to justify. Are you guys hiring in Canada or looking to expand into Canada? Is my next question.
We're going to move to Canada, but if you're going to use this for a job application, this would be the worst time to do it because I will remember this.
Hey, no worries.
No,
I'm just saying. I just love the model and that thing. Yeah. So it's like basically just. Our price is the only price that we have, and like there's no one really in Ontario here too. It's like I don't know what's going on down in the States there too, but like just as like you mentioned, people are over MSRP on a lot of things. Like we might do that on a special kind of Demon Challenger or something like that, but that's unheard of around these parts.
Yeah.
So is that
And
kind of the market that
if you're selling
that you're
CDJR,
targeting?
that's why. I mean, you're selling CDJR. That's not a problem here as well. If you're selling demons, I mean, you're selling CDJR. They're not struggling to sell. I mean, there's not much negotiation because dealerships are
Oh,
to
no.
the moon. But like general rule of thumb is 25% of my audience is Canadian, and we get more requests to be in the Canadian market. If we open Canada's division tomorrow, we'll get 200 more deals a month instantly the day we open it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Oh. All right. Well, yeah. Sorry, I just opened up the stream there too. Yeah, I just kind of want to touch base and just get your opinion on that too. And but yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.
Okay, sounds good, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
Bye-bye. Okay, so like JRC, for example, also another person that's talking a lot of trash, more than willing to come up and debate. The more negative you are in my comment section, the more likely you are to come up, because I don't like this. Make sure you guys do me a favor. If you guys haven't followed, make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe. Thursdays, we do debate days, where the whole idea behind it is I allow people that disagree with me to come up and disagree with me. Car salesmen believe that I'm a scam artist. I'm horrible. Like Anonymous is saying that I'm just feeding you guys all of the secret information. I'm brainwashing you. And realistically, it just takes a big old strong man to be able to tell you that I'm wrong and they're right. And they're going to be able to tell you with their logic. So I invite them up here to show how smarter they are than me and really come on to educate people on what I'm doing was wrong. If you want to come up here and say I'm a scam artist, by all means, let's debate that. I'm all for it. But here's the thing is that they don't actually believe their points. They're just mad that we're solving consumers' problems. So what they do is, this guy's a loser. I hate him because he's costing me money. That's what they do. And they're normally afraid to come up here. Point in case, Zach Morris, Anonymous Game Warden, JRC, Ghostface, all of these people that talk a lot of trash, say all these things, and just won't come up here, even in an anonymous setting, and be able to debate their points. Never said that. What? Can somebody give me some quotes on what Anonymous has said? He said he was going to debate me, right? He said he was going to debate me. Remember he said, give me the email? Did you get the email? Did you DM us? Or did you email my assistant? Anonymous, you clearly disagree with me. JRC, bagels have 2 prices at 2 stores. JRC, if you want to come up here and debate and get schooled, you certainly can. But I have a feeling you won't come up here to debate because you see the flaw in your argument without saying anything. You just have to email or DM us. I'll check my Instagram. We have people in line, but I'm trying to give the opportunity. Yes, and please read my comment word for word and use your critical skills to see if they align with what you said. Hopefully this is recorded. Can all means, do you want to copy and paste your comment and I will read it again? I've read a few of your comments, but by all means, copy and paste your thing because I'm not scrolling all the way up. But if you believe that I've said something wrong, by all means, you certainly can. Copy and paste the comment, and I'll read it. And I'll tell you if I agree or disagree with it. Let me know when he says something. Sorry, I'm looking at the comments. I'm an ex-car salesman. Disagree with Tommy on removing dealership model. I don't say we should remove dealership model, but... Is he going to actually say something? Oh, is he still on the cucumber analogy? I'm going to give him like another minute for him to make his point. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. Because he has the opportunity to come up here. Not a coward. I'm typing fast enough to address my rebuttals. I don't need a phone. You can't copy and paste comments. LMAO, dude, you're full of yourself. No, I'm not, I have to go. What did you say? Make your point again, Game Warden. You're saying that I did not agree with your point, which is one of the reasons why I allow you to come on live so you can just speak your point like an adult. I can't scroll through because I have all the chats in one little thing. It would take me forever because we have thousands of people in every chat. And I don't know what comment you're talking about. So I'm giving you a chance to restate your comment. So you just have to type it again. It's not that hard. You're saying I would agree with your comment if I read it word for word. I'm trying to read your comment word for word. You're really killing it. But I'm pretty sure you can copy and paste, but again, I'm in the world where it's not as simple for me. You're the one saying the words, I'm not. Giving him a minute. Hey, guess what? Chris just copied a comment. That's crazy. Wouldn't cutting out dealers make a monopoly if you allow... Again, I'm not agreeing to cut out dealers. I'm agreeing to add competition to the market. I'm waiting for him to make... I'm imagining he's typing the most profounding thought that I've ever seen in my entire life. He is typing, guys. I know. Control C on my phone. That was your... Live. I'm going to see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how to copy and paste. But you're saying, oh, I subscriber only mode. Or you're saying you can't copy and paste anything, and you can't go back. Okay, I'll try to go find your comment. No, I can't go back and find your comment. You just retype your comment, dude. Tommy is a coward for not going to the dealership. He does his work how he sees best fit to get the best deal. I think the argument is made by typing them out. Okay. You want me to just debate you in a comment section? Okay, anonymous game warden. I'm going to give you just retype your comment. Just retype it. Fine, you can't copy and paste it. I'm sorry. I'm so wrong. Just copy and paste, just retype it. And I'll see if I agree or not. Jeez Louise, Batman. Let me go back and get it word for word. Moderators, can we get, like... Moderators, is there any way for you to go look at every comment he's made and then put this in a Discord channel? Is there a moderator? I'm in moderator chat right now. Moderators, is there any way you could do that? I know you can do it on TikTok, or sorry, on Twitch. I don't know if you can do it on YouTube. Yeah, I want to give this... Or shaking his recliner, that must mean he's... Delivered as a voice to text. You don't have to have sub mode. Guys, we don't have to have sub mode only. I know it's a little bit crazy, but I'm fine with not having sub mode on for YouTube. We can turn sub mode off. I want people to disagree with me, and I don't want people just to sub. I know it makes it a little bit more crazy to have the conversation. Let's turn sub mode off. The whole point is people disagree with me, and they probably aren't going to subscribe, and I don't want to disencourage people from typing. Slack. Okay. We got all the comments. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to read. I have all of his comments. Okay, I'm going to read every single one and just see if we agree or disagree. This is all of them? All of his comments on stream. The first one, his first comment of the day. I love watching all of the ball lickers. Sorry, please hold. Ball lickers gather under Tommy. There's a word I'm not going to use there because they're incapable of talking to humans in real life. So I'm going to disagree with this point because you are incapable of talking to somebody on the phone. So, like, you're incapable of talking to somebody on the phone and you're getting mad that people can't talk in real life. You're too afraid to have this argument. You can literally click on a dealer's website, enter in your information, and then email you the out-the-door price. SMH, Tommy's Ball Liquors, will eat up any status quo he excretes. First off, this isn't true. The dealership's mentality when you put in their information is not to just send you an out-the-door price. They're going to call you and try to get you to come in store. You have to go through their sales method in order to get that price. So no, you can't just go to any dealership and they're immediately going to send you an out-the-door price without debating. It's going to be an immediate phone call and text. No one is sick of Blockbuster. Example. No one is sick of the Blockbuster. No one is sick of the Blockbuster example. I don't think anybody's sick of the example. I agree with that. Tommy regurgitates because they blindly bend over on all fours like a dog and pay Tommy $1K because they love getting screwed over just by Tommy. I would also disagree with this comment because first off, I educate people how to buy a car. The majority of people in this comment section are not clients. I would love for 4,000 people to hire me right now. If you guys all want to hire, that'd be great. But the reason why people bend over and do whatever all the words you're saying is that we just have their best interest at heart. I'm not afraid to tell you you don't need the service. You can do this on your own, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. It's amazing when you look out for your customer, how much they're willing to do for you. One second. I had trouble walking there for a second. Okay. Your mods muted us. That's why we're quiet, dimwit. Well, it's because you use lots of inappropriate language, which we normally wouldn't allow in the stream. If we don't have an Instagram, how do we call in? What is your email? Who would have guessed the guy never emailed us? Tommy's chat is begging for me to get on the live, and I'm the one that's supposed to go hunting for his email. Truly the most uneducated half-twat followers ever. Victoria, can you please again give him your email and pin it on the page so he never wins this? Any retailer can sell a car to consumers. Not all manufacturers have the capabilities to sell cars directly to consumers. Any retailer can sell a car to consumers. If you're trying, again, a retailer, that would be a dealership. But not any manufacturer can sell cars to consumers. That's not true. That's flat out not true. And not even because they don't have the capabilities, it's because it's illegal. It's called franchise laws. Imagine asking a farmer to sell every single corn husk manually one by one to every consumer nationally. He can't because he doesn't have the resources to do so. It also doesn't make sense because consumers wouldn't want that. They see the value in the grocery store, so they're willing to pay more at the grocery store, understanding the grocery store has value. Nobody's disagreeing that grocery stores add value. Refute that one point without sidestepping it. I don't think I sidestepped anything. Never said that, LMAO. But again, whatever you say, your followers read it up. I don't know what else, I'm reading every comment you said. Yes, please read my comment, word for word, and use critical thinking skills to see which one it aligns. Hope this is recorded. Can you let me know which comment I need to read line by line again, just to make sure? Was it the, no one is sick of Blockbuster, Tommy's chat is begging me to get in live, asking the farmer to sell for the corn husk? Which one is it? Which comment are you saying that if I use critical thinking skills? Because I'll go through the comment word for word. Which comment? Which one? Is it the Blockbuster? Is it the grocery store? I think it's the grocery store. That's my guess, but I'm going to let you say which one is it. Is it the grocery store or is it Blockbuster? Okay, take a pause. Out of all of those, when I said you're feeding your audience magic, that's what you said. Okay, I'm going to use my critical thinking skills. Okay, take a pause. Pausing. Out of all of those, when did I say you're feeding your audience magic? That's what you said. Okay, you said SMH, Tommy's ball lickers, will eat any status quo he excretes. I wouldn't use that language, so I changed the language up a little bit. You can I love watching all the ball lickers gather under Tommy's thing because they're incapable of talking to humans in real life. Not hard to get from I'm feeding them magic here. Now, reading your comment word for word, imagine asking a farmer to sell every single corn husk manually one by one to every consumer nationally. He can't because he doesn't have the resources to do so. Business 101. Business 101, if you asked a consumer if they had the option to go to the farm and actually get the corn from the farmer every single time, or go to the grocery store and they had to pay extra for the grocery store, almost every single consumer would pay extra for that convenience. Because the convenience adds value to the consumer. But if you ask that same question to the dealership model, very few people would pick the dealership over the manufacturer. Because people are not buying people buy corn millions every single day. Cars are not sold at that same level. Really not that hard of a concept. I mean, Game Warden, you made no point whatsoever. I read every comment word for word. So even if I twisted it, I read every comment word for word, other than removing some inappropriate language that I would not allow on the stream. But if you can't get the ball lickers and figure out the words that are in between, I'm sorry. You're literally just sidestep the question. We're not talking about value. We're talking about the manufacturer physically not being able to sell cars direct. They cannot sell cars direct because it is illegal to do so. We have seen the manufacturer try to sell cars direct. For example, in 2021, Ford tried to sell their EVs direct. They got sued, so they can't. Honda tried to team up with Sony to make the Ophelia. That car got shut down because they got sued and they can't. We end up, again, this is because they can't because of franchise laws. It's not because they don't want to or don't have the resources to. They can build the resources to do that. Again, if they didn't want to do it, then why do they have franchise laws to begin with? This is a rough one, buddy. If you make it illegal to do something and you literally cannot do it, and you say, well, they don't have the resources, yeah, it's illegal. Tesla, once upon a time, couldn't sell cars, and then they built the resources to do it because it was profitable. You want transparency. That means that manufacturers need to sell direct. Dealers have sole discretion when it comes to pricing. Correct. You're nailing it. We're on the same page. Do you agree? That's why I hate debating with a comment section, because you can only type so fast. You can't expect every Toyota dealership in the country to sell a car at the same price and be transparent about it. I need to be super clear. I don't care if Toyota in Washington and Toyota in Oregon are selling a car at a different price. What I care about, be super clear, if both of us walk into Toyota of Los Angeles and we buy a RAV4 on the same trim, same MSRP on the same day, and pay thousands of dollars of a different price. That's the problem I have. I don't care that two different dealerships are charging the same or different prices. I've never once said that. I said I don't like that two people can walk into the same building on the same day and pay thousands of dollars different price. Not this hard of a concept. Giving him one last comment to make any point. I'm not going to just debate with it. It's just not even good content. I'm going to give him one last to make any point. The guy's an idiot. And again, if he believed that he was right, he would jump on this live to prove me wrong. JRC, you're also allowed to come up here. I'm not going to argue in my comment section. Frankly, it's not even fun because it's not like I'm waiting for comments. This is just a human conversation. You don't even have to tell me who you are. You're allowed to just come up here and debate. Okay, who's next? Giving him 10 more seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. See, this is why I don't debate. This is why you were supposed to come up here, because we would have had 17 points discussed by now, but I have to wait for you to type. And this is how you're probably typing. I could tell you're probably like this. This guy is dumb, ball liquor, stupid. What part of the price is at sole discretion of the retailer? The price of the car. The dealership can sell the car at whatever they want, above MSRP or below MSRP. Oh my God, you're an idiot. I'm done with you. If you want to come up here and debate, you can skip the line. I'm done debating your comment section. You're an idiot. Like, I'm sorry. Like, You're the one insulting my entire audience. I don't feel bad insulting you. If you want to make a point and actually come up here, you certainly can. Otherwise, you're an idiot. And you're just going to keep getting muted. You're asking for price collusion. I'm done. If you want to make your point, you certainly can make your point. If you believe that you can prove to everybody here that you're smart, and I'm dumb, by all means, come up here, email my assistant. She's put the assistant, you asked for her email 9 times. She's given you her email 9 times. I'm done reading your comments. Guys, if he wants to keep commenting, I'll give him 5 more comments to complain. You guys can count them. Actually, 2 more comments to complain. I'll give him 2 more comments to complain. After that, mute him and ban him. I'm giving you a free platform to come up here and prove that I'm an idiot. If you believe that I'm an idiot, it should not be hard to prove me wrong. Who's next? His name's Ray. Not a salesman, just wants to argue. Do I want to argue with a not car salesman, or do I want to go to the next person what works at an auto group? What does Tommy even want to accomplish in this market? Thoughts on the current rate? That doesn't sound fun. I'll argue with the person. Does this Ray person actually disagree with me, or are they just trying to argue? Anybody who wants to come up here and debate can come up here. JRC is in the same boat. JRC, if he keeps complaining, you can also ban him. Guys, on debate day, I'm more willing to ban you for being a Debbie Downer because I'm giving you the opportunity to come on the platform and actually debate the point. It does not make good content. It does not make it engaging, and not everybody can read your comments. We're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're everywhere. Okay, guys. Anonymous says one more word. You can mute him and ban him because he's an opportunity, and all he's doing is insulting you guys. Consumers are smart. They can see when people are an idiot. And for example, they see you're an idiot. It's not hard. Like, this is it. Consumers are smart. If there's a scam, they're like, oh, shoot, that's a scam. Okay, I'll just call the next person online. I'll call Ray, but if it doesn't feel like he wants to debate, then, or if he's just debating to debate. I don't want somebody to debate me just for funsies.
Please leave your message for 5.
So first off, so we go through it without that person. If you guys don't know, we're debating anybody who wants to come up here and debate that actually wants to articulate a comment. I'm no longer debating the comment section. Things that I agree on that, or the things that I believe in that if you want to disagree, you certainly can. First off, I disagree that, we'll just go through all of them here. Dealerships are not entitled to a profit. They must earn a profit, but I believe that's for every business. So dealerships are not entitled to a profit just because they own something at a certain cost. Does not mean they should make a profit on that product. That is not how America works. Secondly, I believe dock fees are just a way for dealerships to make profit, and they add no value to consumers. If you're not going to get rid of franchise laws, then you should get rid of ban any dock fees from allowed to exist and only charge fees that are set by the state. Third, I believe that dealerships should not make any commission at this point. 7% of people trust a car salesman. This is one of the largest reasons why. It is not good when it comes down to the consumer experience and only benefits the person that is uneducated or that is dealing with the uneducated, does not deal or does not benefit anybody else. Fourth, I believe that finance managers should not be able to mark up rate. They act as if they have a fiduciary when they don't. And consumers are going to be, again, this is why the Frank Dodd Act exists. I believe delivered is a net positive for the consumer, solving problems that dealerships won't. I believe direct-to-consumer should be allowed to exist. Franchise laws should be abolished, and the free market should speak for itself. I believe that dealerships should work alongside with the manufacturer. It would make cars cheaper, more affordable, make the car buying experience faster, and overall be a better net positive. And I actually think dealerships would make more money and more profit doing it this way. What else? Those are some of the points I want to debate. If you want to debate me, you can DM me. The easiest way to DM me is DM me on Instagram because that will get you in the line immediately. Every once in a while, I check my DMs on my TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, you're going to debate me. That's not as efficient. If your name is JRC, if your name is the one dude that's been arguing with me nonstop that I forgot, Anonymous, I think. If your name is Zach Morris, if your name is Chevy Dude, you automatically skip the line. I will hang up the phone with whoever you want to, that I'm debating with, and you will get the front of the line. because or name Ghostface. I think Ghostface is the other person. I would debate any of those people if they want to come up there with a phone number. Boom. Okay. We're skipping Ray and we're going to Adele. Adele's a cool name, like that one.
Hello?
Hi, is this Adele?
Who's calling?
Tommy from Delivered.
Call back. I'm honestly in work right now.
Oh, no worries, man. Yeah, take care of work. Talk to you later.
You got it. Bye.
Bye. Took too long. Dang. Okay, we'll go to Sheriff. He disagrees with the idea of removing car dealerships. But this is the problem is I don't believe in removing car dealerships either. But we'll see.
Hi, if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
Tommy Delivered.
Thanks, Tommy. Please stay on the line.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Beauty, man. Yeah, I can. So, yeah, I was just watching the stream. So, I mean, I don't want to waste your time or my time. If you already said that you partially agree with having dealerships, because that was my point, because you said we don't want dealerships to be cut off from the whole industry. I'm calling from Canada, by the way.
Yep.
That's the point, so I think we already agree. There's no point of debating.
Yeah. No, I believe that the free market should speak for itself, and if the dealership model has value, it'll exist, and if it doesn't, it'll cease to exist. But nobody should prop it up. So, allow the free market to speak, and if they're solving consumers' problems, no problem.
Right, yeah, because I am a former salesman, so I worked for dealerships for 5 years. I definitely disagree with a lot of things they do. But for example, we sold in Canada here, I sold a lot of used vehicles and new within the same dealership. So sometimes you would have some customers, coming back because they have mechanical issues with the used vehicle. And then we will take it, right? And then the service would actually fix the car without charging them anything, right? So the dealership, I mean, you still need that for that specific customer. Some vehicles would just return. It's used vehicle I'm specifically mentioning here. So you need the dealership to exist because the service, right, would fix those cars.
Yeah, and I believe the service department should be able to stay. If I think dealerships or service departments should still exist. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to disagree on anything. So,
all right,
it's
sweet.
okay.
Okay, we're good then. Awesome, Tommy.
Hey,
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
Also, H&R Nightmare. If he wants to come up, he argues here every day as well. He can certainly come up. If he wants to make a point, he's making a point on price caps. And I believe in price caps, but I believe the free market should set the price. More than willing to defend that point. But he won't come up because these people are keyboard warriors and afraid to actually get their point proven because they think they have power.
Hi, if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
You're allowed to come up, H&R. Tommy, Delivered.
Hello?
Hi, this is Matt.
This is, yes.
Hey, Matt, you're up here just to go through your stance. Direct-to-consumer isn't the solution. Plus, Tommy thinks cell phone analogy and direct-to-consumer allowing is open and transparent experience. Argument is flawed. Idea is simple. You make your point. We'll go back and forth a little bit. But without further ado, man, I'll let you make your point.
Awesome. Sounds good. So I was listening to your analogy, and I'll preface this with saying, huge fan, love all your videos, watch them. I've worked in a dealership. Actually left just because I didn't particularly enjoy it, but I don't think your cell phone analogy works. I still think there's implicit biases. So kind of going back to my grandma, for example, goes to Best Buy or goes to Verizon or T-Mobile. She always gets stuck with this horrible Samsung phone that she doesn't want. We always tell her, get an Apple iPhone, whatever it may be. What's stopping dealerships from giving extra pay benefits or whatever to selling a vehicle like the, Ford Lightning, as an example, to make it more efficient and not give a great experience to the consumer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to. I mean, if you're allowing direct to consumer to exist, one of the benefits that dealerships could have is having the options and getting an unbiased opinion. The second they're no longer giving a unbiased opinion, I believe then a competitor would come up to exist that would then compete with that dealership model. Because that's the entire idea. You have to solve a problem. If you have real competition, you have to solve consumers' problems. If you can't solve consumers' problems, then by all means, then you cease to exist. And like when it comes down to the Best Buy model, it comes down to cell phones. They're not getting paid more to sell you that Samsung. They just have that bias that they believe Samsung's the best. Now, you could argue that's not the right opinion, but you know that the opinion wasn't guided by the amount of money they were going to make, but based on what they think. And I think that's that should be better training on Samsung's, or sorry, on Best Buy's side. But the second you add money involved and I pay you more money to sell this, you're going to have an obvious bias.
So, but my thought process is, and again, I'm not 100%. I know you worked at AT&T, I believe.
I worked at Verizon, yeah.
Verizon, okay, gotcha. If I send you a phone, what's stopping me from giving a little kickback? Hey, if we sell X amount of phones, X amount of units, we give your salespeople $250. Right away, I have an implicit bias to sell that Samsung phone, even if you want an Apple iPhone, because I get kickback. Same thing with a dealership selling, let's say, a Lightning. Hey, instead of giving rebates, the dealership or the manufacturer is going to give $4,000 on a rebate. What if we slice that in half or give nothing, and we give our salespeople $2,000? They are now trained on this specific vehicle to maximize the selling opportunity. Now you have the ability to say, I'm going to be a professional on the Lightning because I made $2,000 extra from Ford instead of selling the F-150, for example.
Sure. First off, everybody's paying the same price. So that's the first thing. So we're solving the pricing problem. Now we're going to, so like right now, everybody pays the same price in the phone. Everybody pays the same price in the Ford Lightning. That solved the biggest problem we have. So now we're talking about the implicit bias. Now, I would actually believe that the cell phone world has already dealt with that issue. Right now, we have Verizon stores or AT&T stores, and then you have authorized resellers. It is much more common in an authorized resale environment to offer spiffs and commissions. And because of that, that is not as popular of an option as going to a corporate direct Verizon or AT&T store. People saw that and they actually lost business because of it, because there was an implicit bias. I remember when I sold phones, I've worked at both, but when I was at, we got really quick when there was a spiff on LG Revolutions, which was one of the worst phones to ever exist. But there was a spiff, and you're absolutely right. Everybody that could sold out of those LG Revolutions as fast as possible. Consumers then realized, oh shoot, these guys are selling me bad phones. They're probably making more money. We lost a lot of business in the net run for it because so many people had problems. They realized we weren't recommending the best product. So business would then correct itself, and other business would be absolved. Again, a corporate store or even like a Best Buy that has a completely unbiased opinion would be more recommended to consumers. Yes, some consumers will end up getting a bad experience, but the long term, those businesses will not cease to exist because it's unprofitable to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I saw something in the YouTube comments. It is revenue bias, not implicit bias. That's totally on my fault. I will say, though, I think that the issue is your idea kind of having like a Ford store that is a manufacturer runs store where their sales are making $120,000 a year. I still don't know if at the end of the day the people are going to, because I still have, like I said, a revenue bias, like the guy mentioned on the comments, to sell a vehicle because I know the kickback on it is more. The margins aren't going to be nothing compared to a Raptor R. I want to sell a Raptor R. And I think with the pricing, no two people should pay two different prices. Saving $10,000 on a Type R is ridiculous. But I also don't think that, I think if direct-to-consumer exists, it's still going to be not the greatest experience. And it might be a better experience than what there is now, but I think people have to get harder on the dealerships that do shady practices. If you call up a dealership and they have a $10,000 markup, just don't do business with them. There's a lot of dealerships that do work in transparency, and I know they're few and far between nowadays, but I still think it exists. I think consumers also have to wake up and say, why can I, haggle $10,000 in a span of 5 minutes on a phone call? There's obviously something wrong with that business model, and you shouldn't support that even if they give you the best price. Support the honest and transparency.
Yeah, but the problem is I have to go weed through it to find the honest and transparent. And the real problem is I have no idea if you're actually honest and transparent. There is nothing there's no reason for me to actually trust a car salesman. And the reason being is every car salesman, I think we would agree, is going to say to a consumer, even if they're not, we're honest and transparent, right? Everybody's going to say that. There's nobody's going to be like, we lie and we oversell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I worked, just so you can get an idea of my commission, how it was paid.
And I don't want to get too deep into that because I want to talk about it as a consumer point, right? Because now you're gonna go through and justify how you get paid. If somebody got paid on gross profit and I knew that I could tell you, and again, I'm a lying and deceitful dealership, oh, I don't even get paid on gross profit. would they not just lie about it in order to get me to convince me? This idea behind it is even an honest and transparent dealer, consumers struggle to trust because they have no idea if they can trust you. You have to become an educated consumer to realize and fact check everything in order to make it. And the idea behind it isn't direct to consumer is 100% going to solve problems. The idea behind it is over the course of the free economy is if you allow competition to exist, things get cheaper, more affordable, and better for the consumer. I cannot think of a single example where we allowed competition to hit the market and things got worse for the consumer. They almost always get better, either more convenient, better, faster, cheaper, as long as you don't have government regulation in there, you allow the free market to exist. And that is all I'm asking, is allow the free market to exist. And if it's profitable to fix these, like for example, the reason why my business exists and why it's very profitable is because there's a huge problem and I'm solving that problem. If I wasn't solving problems, I wouldn't be profitable. And that's where we're going right now, is we need to allow more, and if dealerships have the option to ban me, and there's so many people that are trying to ban me to say what I'm doing is illegal, to make it better to buy a car for consumers to solve their problems, like that's insane. Like, but dealerships will 1,000% use any law they can to shut me out because realistically, it is bad for business for them and they don't want to have that. We want to allow the free market to exist. And if somebody can solve a consumer's problems better, let them do it. And they should make money and be profitable for that.
Well, yeah, and I absolutely agree. I think the first issue is a lot of people don't understand the difference between a product and a service. You provide a service, and myself, I don't particularly find value in it because I value my money over my time. And like you mentioned, I'm educated in the field. Someone who has a lot of money is making a $75,000, $80,000 purchase and just wants the cleanest, the best experience. I think that's the way to go, is spend $1,000 with you. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying this idea that there's not going to be some sort of issues when we get, because I think we eventually will at some point. It might not be in the next 5 years, 10 years. It might be 20, 30, 40 years from now, where eventually they get, stop buying out our politicians or whatever it may be, and we get to something like that. But I do think that at the end of the day, if I go to a Honda dealership, they're still going to want to sell me the vehicle that you want to always negotiate, because no one wants it. They're going to try and sell me the Prelude. They're going to 100%. They're not going to want to sell a Civic or just a Type, a SI or a Type R. They're going to want to sell me that vehicle because they're going to get some kickback.
But again, you're assuming that every business is going to run that business model where they're going to do kickbacks on these kind of things. And if you can buy inventory a certain way, but again, at Best Buy, I don't see every Best Buy employee trying to sell the cheapest, worst TV. If you go to Best Buy and say, what TV do you recommend? I have an unlimited budget. They're almost always going to go Sony, LG, or Samsung, because those are the best three out there. They're not going to say, hey, let me show you why the Vizio is the best or the TCL is the best, right? They're not doing that. And this is a real business that we can see in real time that is doing very well, that businesses do trust because of that reason, is you have somebody's just going to be unbiased. They're just paid an hourly fee.
Yeah, I say that the free market regulating stuff, I think is true and it's not true. You can see we kind of have a free market with car buying. You have 15, 20 Ford and Honda dealerships by you, but people go to the closest one because it's convenience. You mentioned that convenience.
You don't have the free market. The second you make it illegal for people to jump into the business, it's no longer a free market.
But isn't the idea of competition how many dealerships are buying?
Can I buy if I want to today? Can I go to Ford and say I want to buy a franchise? Absolutely not. No. So it's not free market. I can't make my own franchise. I have to be accepted into the group in order to do it. I have to pass their rules, their regulations, and I can't just buy. I can't sell their product. Even if I went through all the training and did everything they want to, I still can't sell. I have to be approved. So like this idea that it's not a free market at all. The dealerships are selected, the dealership principals are selected, and when it comes down to it, it also comes down to a situation where manufacturers can't sell the car and nobody else can come in to solve the problem. They're getting to the point where they're trying to make my service illegal because, and again, plenty of people are fighting for it because we're helping consumers buy a car. Like, this is insane. Like, they don't want competition, and the second government can get involved and stop competition, or franchise laws can, we now run into, this is not a free market at all.
But I think every business, and this is what dealerships do, and they do it to a much grander scale, and I know that's going to be the argument people give is, it's not a $100 purchase, but if I go buy Apple AirPods from Target, they're going to try to sell me accessories and a protection plan, and I know they're not going to have a markup and all that, but Best Buy still gets a kickback from that. So there's always going to be, if you go into any store and say yes to everything, you're going to pay more. You always say that analogy. If you go in and make it the easiest possible experience and say yes to everything, you're going to pay more. But that's pretty much true with every business. And I know it's different in scales, but if I go to McDonald's, they're going to upsell me on a drink. They're going to upsell me on a fry. They're going to upsell me on, extra, a brownie or a cookie or whatever it may be. Every place is going to upsell you. I know it's much different because the car is a much different purchase, but at some point, consumers did become somewhat educated on the fact that they have to look at things and see if it's best for them and what makes sense. I think also so gap insurance should be mandatory. Some people don't think they should have gap insurance at all. If you're $8,000 upside down, it should be a law to have gap insurance.
That's
and I think you would probably agree with that.
No, I don't. I don't believe we should make. I believe we should allow the consumers to make decisions, good or bad. That's up to them. Like that, nobody should mandate that somebody has to uppay. If somebody's willing to take that risk on, then that's on them to take the risk. There's so many different situations that like for me, if I had negative equity and I had 10 grand of negative equity, I might be willing to take that risk because frankly, I could pay the 10 grand of negative equity. I have enough money in the bank that I don't care. Yes, there's some people that can't, but the idea that now it's illegal for me to do it, like it's the same with, mortgage insurance when it comes down to having, I think that's silly as well.
Car insurance is the same thing too. I could afford, if my car totals right now, I can afford to pay the cost, but the government still regulates and it makes me have insurance for both parties involved.
Yeah, and we can go down a whole rabbit hole of car insurance. Now when it comes down to car insurance, we're talking about a lot of different factors here. I want to keep it to the original argument, not start going why car insurance should or should not be legal. Because I think if you ask the majority of the public, some people would make the argument that they don't believe car insurance should be legal or not legal, and people should have the right to choose. Now again, that's a whole different rabbit hole. We're not debating that. Unless you really want to debate that, which is fine. But the upsell argument, I want to make an argument. The difference is that when we're talking about upsells, if I buy the warranty at Best Buy, I'm going to pay, if me and you both go in and I try to negotiate, we're both going to pay the same price on the warranty. So yes, I'm paying more, but we're saying the same price for that product. And that's the difference. And again, that person is not, for Best Buy, they might have some type of goal they have to hit in order to keep their job, but they're not getting paid for the more that I spend, the more that they get. If they sell me the warranty for $300 versus $200, they get an extra 10%. That's not how it works. Everybody pays the same price. And that's the idea, that the problem I don't like is that we could go into a car dealership, we could say yes to all the same products, and we could still pay thousands of dollars difference in price just because one person negotiated and one didn't. But if we both go into Best Buy and say yes to all the products and one tries to negotiate, one doesn't, we're still paying the same price.
So what would you say is the fix of that same thing Florida kind of does on their warranty, is having a cap, or you can't upsell or anything like that? It's just one set price?
No, I believe the government should get out all of it. I believe the free market does a great job at self-regulating. If it's unprofitable for you to be dishonest, it's going to be illegal. It's going to be solved very quickly. And the idea behind it is because there's no competition. Again, if Blockbuster was mandated, the only way you could rent movies is Blockbuster, we would still be having Blockbuster. There'd be no reason for Blockbuster to ever innovate anything because they have a market share. The reason why Blockbuster went under is that competition was allowed, Netflix was able to exist. And I don't believe that the government should be getting involved in any of these things. We should allow the government to stay out of it, allow the free market to speak, and the free market will self-regulate itself.
Absolutely. Okay, let's say I'm loyal to Honda. I prefer Honda vehicles. That's the two vehicles I've owned. If Honda starts doing shady practices, now I'm forced out of Honda. Would that because if Honda starts doing these shady practices where I go into the dealership and they're upcharging me and they're over on the MSRP, even if the manufacturer does this, would your idea be then just to go away from Honda?
No. My idea is once you allow competition to exist, it becomes very profitable to solve people's problems. For example, Delivered. Dealerships were not solving consumers. So I was able to create a business that in 3 years is going to do $7 million in sales. That's crazy for a service business in its first 3 years with $0 of ad spend, no investment money. But we're solving consumers' problems. And what happens is if Honda starts doing this, competition will be allowed to exist and somebody will solve the problem if it's profitable. Maybe then Delivered stays in business and Delivered is now solving that problem because manufacturers are doing the same thing. The idea behind it is the free market. If you can solve people's problems by making it cheaper, more efficient, affordable, and saving them time, energy, and anxiety, a business will come out of that. So yes, I'm not saying ban anybody. I don't want to ban dealerships. I don't want to ban manufacturers. I want everybody to come in. And if anybody believes they have an option to sell a car that makes sense, let them do it.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I agree with 99% of the things you believe in, you preach, and I think that, I see it all the time. There's horrible dealerships out there that charge ridiculous prices and try and take advantage of you as a consumer. I just don't know if the idea of having I just feel like there's still going to be bias involved, and we can say that even if there's non-commission based, I still think that manufacturers are going to want to push certain vehicles. Ford's not going to really care if a Raptor R goes right away because it's going to sell no matter what. but those full-size Broncos don't go.
So, like, when I went to Verizon, we had a Samsung rep, we had an LG rep, we had an Apple rep. They all came in, and of course, they're trying to sell us and why we should sell their product. But I have no bias either way. Like, I'm going to go through, listen to all the people, and then make a decision what's right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's one of the reasons why I believe dealerships would actually add value and why I think they'd make more money. Is that I believe a good car salesman that actually is giving real opinions, not somebody that's willing to just sell to make the quickest buck, would actually be the people that people would pay more for that experience. If I knew that I could pay you, Matt, and it cost me $500 more, but I guaranteed Matt every single time was going to give me the actual opinion of what the best possible car is, and that's the reputation you built, I would pay a little bit more for that, because now you're adding value because you know the market better than everybody else, and you're going to give me the real deets. But the second you then use that information and say, you know what? Now that I got all this trust, I'm going to start marking things up and I'm going to start selling spiff cars. You're going to lose that trust and it becomes unprofitable because in the long term, you're going to lose customers. Same thing, I use Delivered, for example, right now. If it makes more sense, if it makes more profit today, is if I started taking ad deals, I would make an extra $600,000 a year if I just did ad reads on my YouTube channel. If I started selling my car buying checklist for $25, I would probably sell well over 1,000 to we have 5 to 10,000 people do it for free. If we were to actually pay for that service, I believe 10% of people at the bare minimum would actually pay $25 for that. We just give it away for free. So we look at those things. It makes more sense for me to do that, but I believe long term that would hurt my reputation. So it's not worth it for me to trade short-term gains for long-term success. And that's how most business owners are going to think. They're not going to trade short-term profits for long-term in order to lose long-term growth. That's just not how, in a business owner mindset, that is how we think. So I'm willing to understand that I'm taking a little less profit today, but my goal is for Delivered to be in 3 years a $50 million company, not a $5 million company. So me making an extra 600 grand today sounds great, but in reality, I'm trying to be a $50 million company. I'm not trading $600,000 of profit today, lose customer, lose loyalty, just so I can, then that pushes my $50 million goal into a crazy reality that's going to be a 5 to 10 year goal now, because I'm shorting short-term growth or short-term revenue for long-term growth.
And I agree with that. I think if dealerships, you gave dealerships an offer in terms of, hey, spend $50 million or lose $50 million, however way you want to phrase it, and build back a reputation, 99% of dealerships are going to say no. They do not care about the public what the reputation is of the public, because they still have, like you said, the monopoly on it. I think, but if you go to a Ford dealership, for example, and you say you want a fuel-efficient sedan, Ford does not have a fuel-efficient sedan. I would probably recommend you a Hyundai Elantra hybrid, but I'm still going to be incentivized to sell you that vehicle. Do you think that if I go to a Ford store, they're just going to say, hey, your best option isn't us, just go to get a Honda or Hyundai or, a Kia? Or are they going to try and sell me on an Explorer or a Bronco Sport or whatever it may be?
Do you think it'd be benefit, hypothetically, if you were a car salesman and there was no franchise laws and you could sell every single brand under your, let's say you could sell Ford, let's say you could sell Chevy, and you made the same money either way, do you think it would be a benefit for you as a car salesman if you could sell them a Hyundai because you don't have it on Ford, but it was all under the same lot?
100%.
Getting rid of franchise laws makes that possible.
But are these manufacturers going to collaborate? And are we going to have a Ford? Because Ford
they don't have to collaborate. There's no franchise laws. The franchise law. The reason why that you can't have multiple things is because of franchise laws. You would lose your franchise to have multiple brands under one roof. That's why that doesn't exist. But you get rid of franchise laws, you allow manufacturers to sell on their own. By all means, you become now you get a Best Buy experience, but for cars. So somebody hypothetically could sell all 24 brands under one rooftop, and then somebody would come in, do an actual needs assessment and say, based on everything you told me, I believe the Ford Bronco is the right car for you based on X, Y, and Z. And I have the option to sell you every other off-roading vehicle, the Jeep, the whatever, but I'm going to sell you the Bronco because this is why. Because franchise laws make that impossible to do. Now we have the option to do it, which is going to be better for the consumer.
But do you believe that manufacturers are going to have, kind of like an auto mall, for example, where they're going to have all these manufacturers under one roof? Is Chevy going to want to be put right next to a Ford F-150, a Silverado? Are they going to want to be next to each other? Or are they going to want to have their individual spaces?
They're not going to have as much of an option because they're going to have to give because of franchise laws. Are getting rid of it. They're getting rid of franchise laws.
But you don't think that these manufacturers are going to collaborate and work as one in terms of making sure that they have their own benefits? They're going to all work together in terms of
26 different companies? No, it's just never been done. I mean, again, when you go to a cell phone store, yes, they have sections Like if I go to Best Buy, Apple has their own section, Samsung has their own section, but they're all within walking. It's not hard to be able to see them all. Yes, manufacturers are going to say, I want you to advertise in this way, and I don't want a Chevy right next to the Ford, but the Ford and the Chevy being a 1 minute walk, they're not going to be able to separate that, right? They're not going to be able to separate their entire lot. But 1,000%. They could say Ford does not want to be right next to a Chevy, but I want all of my Fords in one section. I want all the Chevys in one section. And that's fine if the manufacturer requires that. But if I can sell them on the same lot, and I have, again, right now, you could not sell a Chevy, right? Like if you're in a Ford, you can sell Ford, that's it. You can't sell a Chevy on your lot. If you had the option to sell a Chevy and a Chevy made sense, now you have an option to tell people what the actual best option is. If you could sell a Sierra, if you could sell an F-150, if you could sell a Silverado, and you could sell a Ram, and you made the same money either way, it's no longer selling you one for any reason. You're going to sell them what you think is the best option, not what makes you what you're making money on, because you'd make them the same money either way.
And I agree. And I would tell people if they want certain vehicles, I wouldn't recommend the Ford to a lot of people besides an F-150. I think that the argument, though, I can't see that there's going to be this like big auto mall, because they're not going to be able to put these vehicles in a Best Buy where you can test drive them and, you know, see the features on. Are we going to have just a big lot just filled with vehicles? And then what about used vehicles? I just think there's so many logistic things that I just can't see anytime soon be worked out, besides like a Tesla model or Rivian where it's just direct to consumer. We ship you a car and here you go. But actually seeing all these items in a comparison standpoint. Yes, we could have a Ford next, or, you know, go to a Tesla and see a Tesla Model Y or whatever it may be, but have this big comparison and have, you know, unbiased salesperson. I just don't know if I can see that happening.
Right. If let's agree to this. If it is profitable and consumers want it, and let's just say if it's profitable. If it's profitable, will they make it happen?
Yes, if it makes sense money-wise, that's the only answer. They don't care about the consumer; they care about the money. So if it can happen money-wise, it'll happen.
Yeah, if consumers. So again, we don't have to figure out that's the beautiful thing is, like, right now when it comes down to solutions. As of right now, I believe that more options is better than less. That is what I believe. I believe more options are better than less. And if the market is going to be willing to fix itself, let's let the market try to fix itself, and let's let smart business owners that are willing to take a risk try to fix it. Right. And if it doesn't work and it doesn't make sense, by all means it doesn't. But there are plenty of places that they have this. You could have like an auto show experience where you're able to have all these cars and then be able to keep something to test drive on the back lot. The amount of dealerships that do have multiple lots, so they have overflow inventory, you could have a test drive experience where you just have one of every trim and one of every option on a lot, and that fills, and you only sell new cars. You don't even sell used cars. Think about delivered. We don't sell used cars anymore. We're going to try to add that back on. We only do new, and we're plenty fine. But you could have one of every new car and every trim and give people an option. And then once they agree to buy it, you could pull it from your overflow lot.
And that's kind of the idea that I would say that would make this work, is sort of like you said, an open lot where it has every vehicle, every trim, and you customize it and build it. That way you don't have to have, if you don't want to have, you know, Blue Cruise, or if you don't want to have all these things that are pretty much thrown on you at certain dealerships because that's just the inventory they have. I think that idea would work. I just don't see in practicality it happening anytime soon. And like you said, these people are incredibly smart. I know Ford wants to do it, and other manufacturers I'm sure would jump right on board. I just don't know. I think we have to hold these dealerships accountable, which you do. Which I appreciate. I think it's what you do is really great. Like I said, I think your service is worth it to some people, and some people are going to say it's not worth it. And I agree with that too. I think that what you're saying is true. I just don't know if in practicality it can work just anytime soon. And what's going to happen is, you know, Toyota can't keep up production now. So if I could buy a Toyota at MSRP, no issue. A lot of people are going to go jump and buy a Toyota. If they can't keep up now, how are they going to ever keep up?
Yeah, I mean, a few different pieces. So first off, once Toyota's sales rely on them selling the product, I imagine they're going to find a much quicker and more efficient way to sell or build their product. Problem right now is they have a guaranteed buyer every single time. But the second I'm now a franchise, and I can say, you know what, I don't want as many Tundras or Tacomas anymore, and I don't have to because there's no franchise laws. This is what there's pros and cons to the franchise laws. But one of the pros to manufacturers is that they can just sell you anything. But the second you get rid of franchise laws, you know, I no longer have to buy 17 rear-wheel drive Tacomas that are never going to sell in my lot anyway, or Ford Rangers in your case that are going to be like, okay, nobody's going to buy these trucks anyway, so like they're just going to sit on my lot forever. I don't have to buy those anymore. So manufacturers have to become more efficient, or they have to find reasons for people to buy them for it to make sense. The idea is the free market is going to build these out. I agree that there's plenty of problems that the industry would have to fix when it comes down to selling these. I don't think it's going to be something that instantaneously happens, but the general rule of thumb is let's let the free market try to fix the problem, because the majority of people do not like buying a car. Over 70% of people report it, and 7% of people report they trust a car salesman. So those numbers are extremely alarming. We should do something to fix it. I don't like the idea of just saying, let's try to make dealerships better, because we are so much in the hole with dealerships. And no matter what, dealerships have proven time and time again, if the opportunity given, they will take advantage of consumers if they have the opportunity to. And that's concerning to me.
Absolutely. And I actually think the biggest benefit, I do believe the pricing and transparency, but just the biggest issue for for manufacturers, they're going to have to step their game up. And I think that would be the benefit as well to the consumer. And maybe even the biggest benefit is if you put all these vehicles next to each other. I'm not going to say the brands, but there's certain brands that are going to really start to struggle. And there's certain brands that are going to flourish. And Toyota is not going to get bailed out, like you mentioned with the Tundras, or Ford's case with the Rangers, where they're not going to get bailed out because they can't just send a dealership 15 of these vehicles and they have to buy them. They're going to have to up their game. And I think that might be the biggest argument to direct to consumer, as opposed to, hey, I have to make a couple calls around and, see what the best, deal is. I think actually the better product would be the biggest benefit to direct consumer. I think that would be the biggest argument I'd have for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would agree 1,000%. I'd say the only two brands that probably don't want this to happen are Toyota and Honda, because they're top dogs right now. But I believe you put a Mazda right next to a RAV4 and you put somebody to have drive them side by side, a lot more people are going to Mazda all of a sudden that didn't realize it existed. You put a CX-90 compared to a Highlander, and all of a sudden people might be picking that high CX-90. It's one of the best third row SUVs if you don't need room in the third row. If you just need a kid in the third row, the CX-90 is one of my favorite vehicles in the market. But most people won't give Mazda a chance because they don't see it, because it's on a whole different lot. But you're right. It would allow more and more competition.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest argument. Like I said, I'm not even anti it particularly. I just think that it wouldn't be flourished in the best possible way as soon as possible. I think it might be something that's done 5-10 years down the road. And maybe there's two options. You can go to the manufacturer, and you've mentioned this before, where there's an experience with a Ford rep, and maybe they would just be more of a showcase, or, hey, you can buy it here, but most of the time people are just going to use us to test drive the vehicle and see the features and, compare the Expedition to the Explorer, yada, yada, yada. And then eventually, hey, there's just a kiosk where you order your vehicle. And I think that would be the best thing if, Ford or Toyota or Honda can have it to where they can take an order on like a kiosk with a professional salesperson that's making, $100,000 and $120,000 a year, to where they can place that order. Vehicle is going to be shipped in 2 to 3 months. I think that would be the best avenue. And these dealerships could even,
I don't think
manufacturers
it's 2
could
to 3
even
month
work
thing
with.
either. I don't like this. The idea that nobody's going to have inventory on hand also just isn't approvable. And we're not doing 2 to 3 months to get a Tesla. Even with Tesla that doesn't have it, unless it's a really high demand car, you're able to get a car within a week. And that's Tesla's model. I believe one of the benefits, and this is like what we're talking about, the benefits, the dealership versus the direct to consumer model. One of the benefits of going to the dealership, and why somebody might pay more for that, is that they have inventory in stock ready for you to buy today, compared to the manufacturer. It would take a week or two. So again, we talk about now benefits, right? I'm willing to pay more for the convenience of having a car today versus having something in a week or two. I would tell you there's plenty of times I've paid more to have something today. Now the dealership actually adds a value to me because I'm getting that car faster. The market is speaking for itself, and the dealership can actually charge more money because they have inventory today. But the idea that the dealership is going to try to compete with the manufacturer by not having inventory, that would give away one of their biggest competitive edges, and it makes no sense.
Oh, no, I think the dealerships would still 100% order a bunch of vehicles. I mean, if it's a 2027 year, I want to have the newest models. I want you to see it, and it when you go to a dealership, and that's why they want you in the doors. When you see the vehicle and you touch it and you drive it, they give you a trade and you see your monthly payments, you're more likely to sign the dotted line. I 100% agree with that. I see what your argument is on, and I do appreciate the conversation and giving a different perspective. See your points, and like I said, I really love your videos. I do appreciate what you do. I also think too, you got to work on the BDC thing is another huge issue, and I think that's something you got to really, really tackle. I know you tackle in your videos, but I just bought my dad CRV. The BDC departments and that whole structure is just awful, and I think that's something you got to either highlight on a video or super duper hammer, because it is abysmal.
I mean, that sounds like a great business idea for somebody to fix. My goal is not to fix the BDC departments. I don't believe the BDC department should exist, but somebody else should build a business on how to make BDCs better, because I agree, they're insane. It's one of the worst experiences there. But my job is not to fix it. Because otherwise, I'm not going to take money from dealerships. I'm not going to do it for free. So I'm going to keep solving consumers' problems, and everything else will fix itself, hopefully.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Tommy. And like I said, you've changed my perspective on certain things, and I think that we had a great conversation. And I'm
It's a good conversation. It was the best
like I
one
said,
of the day,
keep
and I'm
trying.
not just saying that.
I appreciate the kind words, Tommy. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Boom, boom, boom. We have anybody else that wants to debate? Tuning in from Sweden. What up from Sweden? The American car buying process seems nothing but exhausting. It is. Wish you all the best. Is there a reason you don't follow show used cars? Used cars are just more confusing to show on stream. It's just because there's a lot of moving parts. It's not as simple as just the base price being the base price. Sometimes you can save thousands of dollars off a used car and it's not a good deal. Sometimes you can pay the price that's listed and it's a phenomenal deal. So also, because I haven't done it today. If you guys don't know who I am, hi, my name's Tommy. I negotiate car deals for a living. My goal is to save you time, energy, and anxiety. We save you money. That's a byproduct. I charge a flat fee of $1,000. I handle everything for you. The price of the car, the trade, the add-ons, the accessories. You noticed earlier I said this wasn't a money-saving service. You're like, Tommy, what in the world does that mean? Are you bad at your job now? We're great at our job. We have 25 employees, 5 people negotiating our deal at any given time. But people hire us because I'm going to tell you something that most people are afraid to tell you. You can do this on your own. Nobody needs to use my service. I don't have a magic wand or a secret sauce that can save you thousands of dollars more than you can at your own. Realistically, anybody can get a great deal on a car. I teach it all for free on my platform, but realistically, most people hire us because they just don't want to deal with the BS. So if you are somebody that wants to save more, has more money than time, and they don't want to have to deal with the dealership process, we charge a flat fee of $1,000. We have about a 2 to 3 week, or right now about a 3 week waiting, or 2 to 3 week waiting period right now for us to get your deal done. We are getting that timeline finally caught up. We're really excited about it. If you have any questions, you can always email us. We have an entire team dedicated to answering those emails. Andre says that Ford dealership bank should be able to mark up rate. This is an interesting one. Let's answer his question. From Amazon. Hello? Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Nice. Love it. Want more of it. Why did you decide to leave finance and start your own business? Because I believe car buying shouldn't have to be a horrible experience for people. Tried to call him. He didn't answer. Andres didn't answer. All my things are out for delivery today. He said hi. What are you doing? He's like looking the ground. You negotiate Polestars. We'll negotiate any new cars. Hi. I don't think the guy actually wanted to debate. Does anybody want to debate? Debate me on anything. I can answer some super chats while we're here. Can I get all the super chats, please? Please and thank you. Give me all the super chats. I'll answer the one for $5 right now. Have you ever seen a Volvo overseas program, tourist program? It's pretty cool. Yes, it's pretty sick. Get a good deal on a car and you got to get the car built. It just takes a while. That's the only negative side to it. It's not a bad deal on the car. You can get better if you negotiate, but otherwise Max is getting needy. So by needy, he just wants to spend time with me. That's fair. I've missed your call from this number. Did I call the right number? Yeah. If you open dealerships all over the states, you fix this problem? Maybe. I don't think anybody wants to debate. Oh, let me go check TikTok. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Did you go to school in Cedar Rapids? I went to in Marion, Limar. You should put a countdown in your live next time you do a sales call. It'll attract more viewers to come to listen in on the next call. I mean, I don't know when the next call is. I'm out of here. Bye, Graz. What was your gift today? It's a surprise. Hey, how are you doing? This guy's trying to text me. Okay. I have no idea. Why is your YouTube live members only? It's not. Sometimes it's subscriber only. Like for chat. Yeah. Okay, guys. I'm gonna jump off then because nobody wants to debate, it looks like. I'm gonna jump off. I might go live a little later tonight. I keep saying that, but then I just get too caught up on doing other things. But I'm gonna jump off tonight. Yeah. I know we're gonna make a lot of phone calls next week. I got some really good videos coming out Friday, but nobody else wants to debate. Maybe I'll do a TikTok debate later. But I'm gonna peace out. Bye-bye. Bye. Everybody say bye. Make sure you guys follow. Wait, I have to answer super chat. Sorry, super chats. Where's the super chats? Where's the super chats? Anybody got any super chats? I want to answer the super chats. Max is freaking out though, so I want to give him time. Okay, never mind. I don't have any super chats. Okay, I'm leaving. Sorry, I don't have any super chats. Wait, I got this one. Do you know what a good deal on the 2026 Kia? Yes, 2 to 3 grand off. Boom. Thank you for the $10 donation. Peace out. Bye-bye.